Greetings, everyone, you beautiful and wonderful warriors of the broken sword. I'm Jonathan.
I'm Nick.
And we are the Gosslings. And we are happy to have you here on Super Bowl Sunday. Nick and I are not sports ball people, so this is a perfect use of our Super Bowl Sunday afternoon.
Not at all.
And we are happy that you are here too. And Nick, who's our guest for today?
So today we're going to be playing our interview with Guy Malone. Guy Malone is an interesting cat. He was referred to us by Derek Gilbert.
Yep.
He is the editor of Bitcoin magazine.
Yeah.
He is a Christian who lives in Roswell, New Mexico. Lived there for years. He's hosted and spoken at many of the Christian UFO conferences, including the first major one, the Ancient of Days conference back in 2009, I think it was. And so he's he's kind of an expert in Bitcoin and crypto, and he has, of course, a take on UFOs and that whole phenomenon as well. And he ran for mayor as well of Roswell and almost won.
And was in the process of trying to get Roswell to become Roswell, Texas.
Yeah.
As opposed to Roswell, New Mexico.
Yeah.
So Guy Malone is
a strong platform to run on right there.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, he's really doing the Lord's work, man. We're big fans of Guy. He was really cool. A lot of fun to talk to, and we managed to cover kind of all the topics we wanted to cover in a pretty decent amount of time. So we think you guys are really going to enjoy it.
Apropos to the back half of the interview where we talked about UFOs, because there's been a lot of stuff happening this week with that, as you guys know. All right, let's get on with the program.
Yeah,
we will start off by doing the thing that we've been doing this since day one. Right?
Day one,
yeah. Something we were doing almost before I think we started live streaming.
Yeah, this is like Genesis 1:3 of the Goslings.
grab your drinking vessels, grab your White Claws or your Bud Lights or whatever that they're telling you to drink during the Super Bowl. And let's do it. Take up the broken sword of your father.
And strike down the darkness.
Cheers.
Say, Nick, what are these mugs we're drinking out of?
Well, I'll tell you, Jonathan. These are the Kothon Spartan mugs, handcrafted by Master Potter Joel Cherico from JerichoPottery.com. He hand makes every one of these, as mentioned, and they are the mugs that the Spartans drank out of. The closest thing that we know of to what the actual Kothon mug, made in collaboration with Stephen Pressfield and his input. And he's a bit of a subject matter expert in that sort of thing. They're beautiful. They're super strong. And I love it. I haven't broken one yet. It's amazing how strong these things are.
Yeah. And Joel makes everything in-house by himself. JerichoPottery.com is the place to go. He's got tons of cool stuff. He's got some other Pressfield stuff as well. So he's awesome. We love Joel. And he's a real sweetheart, too. So we are happy to promote his stuff.
Absolutely. Talk about all this stuff before us.
Yes.
What is this?
Look at this smorgasbord of awesome material we have. We did a little something different today with the setup. You will notice that we have flanking Leonidas in the phalanx of sponsorships here. We have JardaniJovanovic.com hair and skincare products made by Mike Fisher, another small business owner, Christian guy out in Arizona. Super based and very smart. Lots of fun to talk to. Cares a lot about us and the channel and has been a big sponsor of it. Jardani Jovanovic hair and skincare products. Everything from growth serum to hand lotion, beard oil, beard balm, shampoos and conditioners. Everything you would need as a man. Made by real men, for real men, or as I like to say, give 007 a run for his money. Awaken your inner John Wick. Be the man you always knew you were. Be as sexy as you are deadly with Jardani Jovanovic.
Yes, sir. And if you haven't already done so, we would love it if you would subscribe. Take up the broken sword of your finger, strike down the subscribe button. Hit the bell as well. It helps us tremendously. And really, if you've already subscribed and you're tired of hearing that, just hit the like button. And that will tell YouTube that this is a great video and you guys like us. That's a great way to support us, is by liking the video, share it if you want, but come back, right?
Yeah.
Because oftentimes when you share something, if you're watching this from your device, it takes you off of your YouTube app to another platform. I'd rather you not leave. Maybe just share the link. Text it to a friend, something. I don't know.
And it also helps us not get lost in the YouTube feed, the homepage feed.
Yeah.
Because that's one thing that'll happen. If you don't like a video of like whomever you're subscribed to, I notice it all the time. I'm like, I'll follow this channel. I'll be like, dude, I haven't seen this person in like months. What happened? And then I think their channel got deleted or something. No. I just failed to like a video or leave a comment.
Yeah.
I forgot to do my part as a fan of that channel. And then like YouTube just, shelves it.
Yeah.
YouTube puts it like in some dusty corner and says like, hey, don't you want to watch this music video from the Grammys instead? Here,
No, you want to keep
have this Luciferian nonsense. Oh, there it is.
Said you Luciferian. I need a soundbite that's you going, it's Luciferian.
It's Luciferian.
I'm gonna do that. I forgot to do that.
Screeching like a madman on the street corner.
But keep this sexy steed in your feed. Hit the like button. It'd be greatly appreciated. Let's see who's in the chat before we play the video.
Nay.
Who's joining us tonight? Who loves seeking truth more than they love sports ball? Let's see. Mama Shaw OC, top of the list. Thank you for joining us tonight.
What's up, Mama Shaw?
Tricky subject. Great to see you, Sue. Sir, thank you for watching from across the pond.
Yeah.
Gary Galeska, what's up, man?
Gary, good to see you, buddy.
Here. Gabe Bella, who was with us Friday night.
Yeah.
Glad you're watching, Gabe. Thanks, man.
What's up, Gabe?
And looks like those are the people that have sounded off so far. I know there might be more people watching than that.
Mike Fisher.
But Mike Fisher, say, what's up, Mike? Yeah. There he is.
Yeah,
nice.
Sound off in the chat if you're watching. We always love the communication. And we will be in the chat throughout the entire interview. So even though we're playing last week's interview that has been pre-recorded, we will still be in the chat with you guys.
And we'll take a break halfway through and come back on and live chat with you guys.
Yeah.
Robert also says hi. Hi, Robert. Thank you for watching.
Good to see you, bud.
And I think a lot of people are. I wonder if we'll get a lot of like people watching during halftime.
Maybe.
Because they're like, I can watch the Super Bowl ads and puke, or I can go watch the Goslings and just gag.
You can almost smell us through the screen. Wafting logos.
That's right.
Yeah. Just sweating truth.
Well, I'm ready to play it.
Yeah.
You ready to go?
Yeah. Let's hit it, baby.
Without further ado, here is our interview with the incomparable Guy Malone.
Your YouTube feed is crap. Stop wasting your time watching bot-boosted shills and self-appointed gurus cloying for your attention. Instead, join the Goslings interview live stream and podcast. The Goslings, a dark-lit digital speakeasy of free thinkers. A super chat of radical truth-seeking wizards who eat trolls for second breakfast. Topics that'll make your mama's hair stand on end. Ideas that'll make your pastor's knees knock. Guests that will illuminate the hidden chambers of your mind. And interviews that strike down the darkness. Welcome to the Goslings.
Guy, thank you so much for being on the Goslings. We're really glad you're here.
Yeah.
You were someone who was recommended to us. We were connected to you through Derek Gilbert, who we greatly respect. He had some very interesting things to say about crypto when we asked him, but he deferred us to you for your expertise. So if you wouldn't mind, maybe just give people kind of a brief background of your expertise in crypto and what it is that you do.
Sure, more akin to probably your viewership and your main programming. I live in Roswell, New Mexico. Moved here many years ago, a couple decades now, from Nashville, Tennessee, to do a missionary work that had to do with biblical perspectives on UFOs and aliens. And that's been up and down, a lot of work in my life, or it can be something I don't touch for months at a time. But in the last several years, specific to what you're questioning about, I got interested in Bitcoin kind of as uncensorable freedom money that nobody declines or authorizes your transactions, for instance. You just hit send and it goes. So But I got attracted to it as a way of making hopefully quick money, the way everybody does. I sort of have an analogy with Bitcoin, is that, especially talking to two men here, is that we all know there are certain characteristics or features about the opposite sex that attract us at first. Our eyes pop out of our head, or whatever.
Yeah.
It's a little crude, but we also know that those are not the things that keep you around for years.
Yes.
That's right.
And similar with Bitcoin is that people get dollar symbols in their eyes. They think it's somewhere. I've used the phrase like 4 or 5 years ago. It's somewhere between a 401k and a lottery ticket. I'm not quite sure.
That sounds
Now
about right.
it's much more akin to saving. One of the old memes was, years and years ago, people were speculating with Bitcoin, and then they were investing with Bitcoin. And now we are saving with Bitcoin, is the way many of us look at it. So I decided, in that Ikagi way of the Venn diagram of everything that, what you're passionate about, what you're good at, what the world needs, what you can get paid for. That Venn diagram of Ikagi started to land on me with Bitcoin, because I really do see it as it's way more of a First Amendment tool for human rights and freedom than it is an investment. But investing and dollars in our eyes and making a quick buck is the thing that attracts us, I think, to Bitcoin. And people kind of realize that it's actually they come for the money, they come for the gains, stay for the revolution is a very popular phrase. So I got caught up eventually in the revolution of it and decided that this is kind of what the world needs, and it's what I'm good at. I have a passion for it. So I got a couple certifications in it that you can just get online. One was a test, a nonprofit in Canada, but you have to send them $100 in Bitcoin to take the test, which makes sense. If you're going to get a certification or a piece of paper that says about a topic, you should be able to get your hands on $100 worth of Bitcoin and be able to send it from point A to point B before you're even allowed to take the test. So you can see that weeds a few people out. So I just increased my certifications in Bitcoin, digital currency. Got a pretty rounded view, I think, because I've got 3 certifications, not just Bitcoin, but in digital currencies in general. There's a free course, the University of Nicosia, that anybody can sign up for. It's 12 weeks. They do it once or twice a year. I did it. But you get a weekly PDF and a college level video. You've got quizzes along the way. And at the end of that one, there's an exam as well that's 2 hours. So the Canadian nonprofit one I took was, I think it was only like 20 minutes, but it's 50 questions. Just boom, quick. Either you know it or you don't. Mm-hmm. So my decision, more or less, was this is what the world needs. I want to get into it, like have a certification or two to where people can trust that I actually do know what I'm talking about. It's not just a hobbyist or enthusiasm or get rich quick is what other people look at it as. I've been buying for 5 years. I'm still not rich. I have a job, but the crux of all that was I got the certifications, which didn't really qualify me for anything other than a natural talent I have as a writer and a good kid in English classes and all that. Is I landed, after many years of being willing to do customer service or scrubbing toilets or whatever, a copy editor position with Bitcoin Magazine, which is a quarterly magazine now. Throughout 12, 13 years, it's gone up and down, and whether it was published online or just online or in physical copies. It's back to physical copies now, but as a freelancer for me. And I also work more full-time nowadays. Last time I talked to Derek was with Bitcoin. I was with Bitcoin Magazine. I'm with Cointelegraph as well. More of my full-time work currently. You know them?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I'm familiar with Cointelegraph.
Okay, super. Yeah, I do some copy editing for them too. So, as far as a qualification, other than having a certification, I want to maybe tell you something about the University of Nicosia. But just to have a couple pieces of paper or certifications, and then what I'm doing for work, the copy editing, the stories that we would see with Bitcoin Magazine, it could be breaking news, it could be financial, it could be technical. It could be philosophical, editorial, or publicity for a new company or a new feature or a widget or something like that. And it sort of required there's there's dozens of fields of discipline that intersect in Bitcoin. It's, the history of money, what is money, technology, computers, all this stuff that's happening underneath the ground with this video right now that we don't know about WebSockets and DNS or anything. We just, press a button and it works.
Hopefully.
And that's yeah. That's for me, getting a little under the hood of Bitcoin. Just when I'm editing, it sort of requires an eye to say, there's a lot of fact checking, somebody says something and I'd be like, that doesn't sound quite right. To where I have to Google for a second, or no, I think it's 18.5 million off the top of my head now. So all I'll just say is that it's not just about finances. It gets into human rights, First Amendment, property rights. Bitcoin is code. The U.S. Supreme Court has already determined in the 90s that computer code is speech. Therefore, it can't be infringed. And Bitcoin falls under that category. When you're sending and receiving Bitcoin, you're really just expressing an opinion via a high-end text message. Give you sort of a 2-minute demystifying this whole thing for you. I like to start with this because it helps people understand Bitcoin really well. If that's good, if that's what you wanted, right?
Go for it, please.
I was going to ask, for just a baseline on Bitcoin.
We always hear this term blockchain related to Bitcoin, and it's a term we don't really know what it means. But for those that have any accounting in their background, we've heard of the invention of double ledger accounting. Bitcoin is actually the invention of triple digit accounting, triple ledger accounting. That means nothing to me. It may not mean anything to you, but there's one person in the audience whose the light bulb is going off right now, and they get Bitcoin better than they ever have just for me saying that. But I think Samson Mao has this explanation of what a blockchain is, what Bitcoin is, and it operates on the blockchain. The blockchain is just a really, really secure text message. Best example is, say the three of us all work together for the same company, and then there's 20 more people, and we have to have a meeting on Saturday. So we're using a text message to decide, well, what time is everybody available? So the group settles on 9 o'clock. I come strolling in at 9:30. I'm like, well, wait a minute. I thought we were meeting at 9:30. Everybody takes out their phone and they're like, they can call BS on me. They go, no. Everybody got the same message. Here's proof that you read the message. You can't lie about it. Everybody sees the same thing to where you have multiple witnesses of that message and of that time and of that decision. Guy, you liked 9:30. There's no takebacks on that.
Yeah.
And now if you can take that simple principle of a group text message and apply it to money. And you see all of these text messages are, well, guy has $10. I give you $5. You sent 2 over here. Now there's an incorruptible message with multiple witnesses. Who has $3? Who has $2? Who has 5 remaining? To where when I go to send Bitcoin, the blockchain, this record on computers, it's keeping the record of who owns by who. I don't mean your name. I mean, you have a long address, BR549QZ76Q, That is kept on the blockchain more or less forever. So when I send it, there's a record that this address, which held the password and the property rights to $10 worth of value, I sent $5 to you. So now there's a permanent record with multiple witnesses. Then instead of a group text message, it's a bunch of computers worldwide. They're all keeping up with this. It won't if I don't have $10, the green light won't show up on my phone or computer or whatever I'm using. I won't be able to hit send. But once I do hit send, I'm not asking permission. Bitcoin is called permissionless. When I hit send, it goes, and my phone or computer reaches out and it tells 2 people, and they tell 2 people, nodes, computers really, and so on and so on and so on. To about 10 minutes, there's a record worldwide on thousands and thousands of computers of that transaction you and I just did. It's immutable. I didn't ask permission. To do it. I hit send. The blockchain carries it out. There's nobody that can decline. I'm not asking anybody to authorize. It's more like if you think of it like a birth certificate.
Yeah.
Hopefully we don't need permission to be born still in this day and age. But
Not yet.
I liken a Bitcoin transaction to a birth certificate. Is that I'm not asking permission to this. I'm simply informing you that this has happened. Enter
Yeah.
this into the records now. Does that kind of already make a little bit more sense than you may have from the beginning?
It
Yeah,
does,
no one person can alter it for
Moderate.
everyone else. If somebody tries to change it, everyone else has a record that says otherwise.
Yeah.
So it's not controlled. It's not centralized.
Yeah. Unlike
Good
the
word,
numbers
yeah.
in
If
your
you know that word, you're ahead of the curve. It's
Yeah.
like 2-3 years ago now. It seems that we all saw the images of Mark Zuckerberg being hauled into Congress when he announced that they were going to debut their Libra cryptocurrency. Might have had a different name then. I may be mixing that up. But like U.S. senators and people over in Europe realized we have 2 billion users and they're all connected. And if they debuted that cryptocurrency, they would become overnight the largest central bank in the world.
Wow.
Whoops.
Yeah. And all these regulators and politicians were like, excuse my French, but oh, hell no, you're not, Mark Zuckerberg. We don't trust you with that. So what you said about decentralized, when this pseudo-anonymous person, Satoshi Nakamoto, put out the paper, just a PDF uploaded, hey, here's Bitcoin. Y'all work it out. See if you can break it, or let's start testing this. That was really the culmination of about 40 years. It's people kind of do this little, is Satoshi an anonymous alien from the future who just dropped fire from the gods on us? Or, was it a CIA? Or, there is one of the scripts it runs was developed by the NSA. That's true history. But there was this group of people called the cypherpunks who for 30, 40 years, they saw coming that governments would want to control us with computers and surveil us with computers and even, yes or no, authorize or decline our financial transactions as a method of control. Nowadays, it's easy to it's not paranoid anymore because China has their social credit scoring system that everybody's worried about. And they literally, God, I read a number today. It's like 20,000 people denied travel because they had a bad social credit. You go and you try to use your phone or your credit card to buy ticket onto an airplane or onto even a city bus.
Nope.
Because you're on that system, they have the ability to say no. Oh, you went to a government protest last night? No, you can stay home for a few days.
And people here want that.
Yes, some of the politicians, especially the World Economic Forum, and
leftists,
the International Bank of Settlements, forget his name, huge guy. You can see him talking about, literally, he used the word absolute control of the financial systems. They can, if some people use the example of universal basic income, they can give you $1,000 a month, but it also expires. It's not really your money. Use it or lose it. It expires at the end of the month, or you didn't earn it. You didn't work for it. They have the ability to where they're be able to say you're not allowed to buy tobacco or alcohol, or you're not allowed, or you've used up your allotment for beef this month,
or gasoline.
Or gasoline, or bugs for you. So there is inherently, back to the cypherpunks, they had been working for years there to develop a more or less internet native, but a private way of just like messaging. If you use Signal, the app that Edward Snowden recommends for private messaging, it's secure. It's end-to-end encrypted, whatever that means, but it can only be read by the sender and the recipient is the point of it.
Yeah.
So they were working out these things for years. And Bitcoin, I like to just remind you, it didn't just drop out of a vacuum one day. It was the culmination of 30 and 40 years. Hundreds of people, they invented things like e-gold, Bcash, and there are many things that almost worked or semi-failed attempts. Every now and then something could get off the ground, and you're right back the same place where Mark Zuckerberg found himself. However, is that the people that print the money don't generally invite competition.
And it seems like unlike the dollar or the yen or the yuan or whatever, it's not a currency that can be manipulated by any bank or government. So
Correct.
it doesn't seem like the governments of the world would have any interest in trying to use this if they were trying to, settle on some kind of worldwide currency.
Yeah,
Or
not that one because they can't control it. What we have with dollars right now is the money printer go burr, gear up the money printer. People are finally asking the questions. Well, if they just print all the money they want, why do we even pay taxes? Is in itself a control system.
Holy cow! I never even thought about that. Yeah, print your own taxes.
Yeah, just write it all off. Who cares?
But the more that gets added, like the more dollars they print, the ones that you're currently holding are worth less than they were a day ago when they started printing them. Money, people, you never get into Bitcoin without this big, long history of money or philosophy of money, of what is money. But kids on the playground invent money eventually. You're trading your Little Debbies for PBJs. And if you come with 2 boxes of Little Debbies the next day, well, you market saturation. We don't really care for Little Debbies anymore. We want Ho-Hos or Twinkies or something like that. But money is just barter and trade. It gets more divisible. It gets more portable over time. But the kind of the point on, back to the cypherpunks, is they invented something that, well, once or twice a government might try to shut down a successful non-government currency, but going back more than 100 years, the free market has always determined what is money. No government necessarily said gold and silver. Even in America, tobacco has been legal tender in the past. Sugar and salt, they're portable, they're divisible, they don't spoil. And all it takes for money to work is for everybody to agree to use it. When the cypherpunks came out and they invented this thing, finally Bitcoin comes onto the scene, because the hugest problem with internet money is the copy and paste problem. Is that if I have a picture of a cat and I send you a picture of my cat and send you a picture of my cat, now we all three have identical pieces. But for money to work, really, as far as supply and demand, and this money printing becoming worthless thing that we mentioned, is that if I give you $100, it's really important that I don't still have $100, or the whole system crashes.
Right. Unless you're a bank, because the bank, if the bank has $100, they can loan you that $100, and then they can loan that same $100 out to Jonathan, and loan that same $100 out to 8 other people.
Yeah, and at 24.9% APR,
the bank's only out $100.
Yeah.
Quantitative easy.
Well, the term of fractional reserve is what you're definitely familiar with and touching on there. I think the rules have even changed. It used to be that they had to have 10% of what they were writing in checks. When if a bank has $1 million, say, in their safe, they are allowed to write loans up to $9 million more. Just that's what fiat creation is. Let there be money. There was not $10 million in that bank's accounts. They didn't have $10 million. What they have is the authority to make loans, of writing you a check, but there's no money changing hands. It's really interesting. People that are worried about Mark of the Beast and stuff, is that money has already become digital over the recent decades. The minute we started swiping our debit cards, boom, it was digital. There's no product, but you've already touched on it really well when you said the decentralization. That simply means that Bitcoin was invented to have a cap. It has a supply cap. There's only so much more that will ever be issued. And when it runs out, we're basically, if the world wants to use it as its currency of choice, point I was making earlier with silver and gold, is that free markets decide what is money, generally speaking. Only in the last century has the government come along with this phrase called legal tender, to where they are authorizing and they are creating the money. History has shown, even all the way back to Rome, is that governments always abuse that power to print money or to create money, though. Coins that started out as 97% silver, after a few hundred decades of shaving them and remelting them, The same coin that may still say a quarter or a denarius or whatever, but now it is down to only being 5% silver. Governments and those with the ability to produce money always, it's human nature and greed, we always abuse that power. So this is a program it's currently running now, and it's not changeable unless you and you and you and me and like a whole bunch of people. And there's no one Mark Zuckerberg, there's no one Satoshi Nakamoto, there's no one person, group, or company at the top of the chain for Bitcoin. It is just a computer program it's all over. You can download it for free. You can run it from your own home. And then the wallets for sending and receiving back and forth, those are free. They don't require ID or anything.
Yeah.
So you have something that will not be affected by inflation is really the best way to put that.
Well,
21 million, we're close to 19 million currently already exist.
Wow.
And the rest are issued daily.
Yeah, it almost seems like Bitcoin out of the government's hands and out of the banks who control our government's hands could be a stopgap to the depopulation agenda, because the more people you have, the more inflation you need to keep the money flowing. And then, if you can have a set currency, then like the value is set and you don't have to worry about inflating and devaluing things with quantity over quality. And you don't have to worry about there not being enough money to go around because there aren't enough to feed all the mouths that are out there.
Possibly. Yeah. What do you think? So Bitcoin is decentralized. There are a lot of other, there's probably thousands of different cryptocurrencies or tokens. And a lot of them are not decentralized. Many of them are not decentralized. Which is probably really attractive, like to have some sort of centralized cryptocurrency, to maybe some of the more nefarious players at the World Economic Forum.
Central bank digital currency is, people used to be really scared or worried, is Bitcoin the mark of the beast? And when you learn these things, that there's no one in charge of it, there's no permission needed to use it. You don't have to show ID to download a Bitcoin wallet. It's not like opening a bank account. But the cryptocurrencies that followed it are more and more centralized. The cryptos that followed it, in many cases, they're trying to repeat the get rich quick aspect of it. They're like, well, I didn't get in on Bitcoin 10 years ago, so let's create this new one that has similar properties. It's just code. It's computer code. You can literally cut and paste the Bitcoin code and have your own coin running. The hard part is convincing a few million other people to use it. It's just like, I think people still have a thing in their head, like, who gave them the authority to create money? Who does that? You're not a government, you're not a bank, you're not this, that, the other thing. It's I liken it very much, though, to understand Bitcoin, why it works as money, is picture it like a casino token or a poker chip that you go into the casino, you give them some dollars, and you use this coin of the realm, these little plastic chips, which are inherently worthless, but within that closed system, everybody agrees what red, white, and blue poker chips of their value is. And you can't really get very far. Like if you were to go to Walmart with poker chips, I mean, if you lived a mile from the casino, maybe that'd be great for restaurant tipping, perhaps, flip $100 chip to a server. But the closed system of the casino is similar to a restaurant, is that, you can have Olive Gardens all over the country. You can buy a gift card from Olive Garden for $100, but try going across the street and spending it at Ruby Tuesday. You're outside of the closed system. So the closed system is Olive Gardens, and the point with Bitcoin is that it doesn't have a country or a sovereign or anything attached to it. It is just it's an internet protocol, the same as email is an internet protocol. And the same as everybody knows what www stands for. Go a little deeper. You guys might know what HTTP stands for. Said you guys might, but not every nerd does. Huh?
No. What does it stand for?
Hypertext Transfer Protocol. But the point is, you don't need to know that to use the internet, do you?
Right. No,
Right.
no, you
You
don't.
never knew
You don't.
that, and
Yeah.
so the whole mystery about Bitcoin, I don't understand it. I don't understand my microwave oven, to be honest with you. I
Right.
can plug in electricity to a box in the wall
Mhm.
and hit a button, and then molecules start agitating. Something heats up, but it doesn't blow my kitchen up. Oh boy, that's miraculous. That's fire from the gods. Who dropped that on you? Same thing. Same
Yeah.
thing, man.
I got a question for you.
Good.
So let's say in a hypothetical world, let's say the WEF, because they met, Davos, they met in Davos a couple weeks ago.
Mhm.
Let's say the World Economic Forum gets their way. Which cryptocurrency or cryptocurrencies do you think would be the best candidates that they would use for their agenda for a one world currency?
They're creating their own central bank digital currencies with kind of country to country right now. They would create one from scratch. Are you talking about one world currency, mark of the beast
Yeah.
kind of stuff?
Yeah. Yes.
None of
absolutely.
the existing ones, I think, would actually do it. They're not programmed to do everything you would want that coin to do.
Okay.
But they are making them programmable money now. They're not just going to pick Litecoin or XRP or something Ethereum
Yep.
that's out there. The World Economic Forum does have a little hand in the Ethereum Foundation,
Okay.
as well as, which is kind of Ethereum. Let me get this right. JP Morgan Chase, they're all about Ethereum for a little bit now. But then on the other side of the coin is XRP, is created by a company called Ripple, which
Right.
from the beginning has dealt with banks and bankers and government. They really want to be what you're describing. They want to be the one world currency. Their motto, one of them, is all the money. They want to do all the money. But the light bulb that we're having here is that the Bitcoin program got off the ground and it got running into millions of users with no marketing company, no CEO, just enthusiastic, evangelistic people sharing how it works with other people and saying, we could have money that doesn't have to be inflated, that won't suffer inflation, and it can't be seized from you. Backing up, I said the University of Nicosia, they're over in Europe. They were in a country called, or they are in a country called Cyprus, which a few years back, I think 2014, their citizens woke up after an extended 3-day bank holiday weekend, and many people with savings accounts over $100,000 had gotten a haircut to their savings account. What was recorded the world's first bank bail-in instead of a bailout, where the government came in and told the banks, give us this percentage of everybody's money because we got debts to pay. And it happened. And all of a sudden, when the government pulls money right out of your bank account, the true meaning of custody and permission and permissionless. So when I say I took a course from a university, the reason Bitcoin got popular in that country, and that this is the world's first university to accept Bitcoin as for tuition since about 2014, was that their citizens had just experienced what happens when the government makes a unilateral decision that your money is our money as well. It's not really your money. Our banks are just holding on to it for you and for us.
Yeah.
You can use it when we say you can use it, but when we want to use it, we're gonna.
Yeah.
And
sounds like eminent domain,
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
You don't really own your house in this country. You don't really own your land, because if the government needs it, quote unquote, then
they can force the sale. They can force the sale or just take it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Try not paying your taxes on it for a couple of years. But yeah, that is literal eminent domain happened to people, to a whole country's citizens' bank accounts. If they were the kind of the wealthier ones, over 100,000 in savings. But the idea of an unconfiscatable, that's a word, 2 words really, unconfiscatable and permissionless. Apply to Bitcoin. We weren't taught these words in school. The educational system we have now, that people like to say it creates workers and drones, but not thinkers, not entrepreneurs.
Yep.
But that's just kind of the money. So what I said, those words aren't taught in school. unconfiscatable. I think that was invented for Bitcoin, but it can't be. It's on a blockchain that only I have the password to up in here. One of the benefits of Bitcoin, as far as, well, what gives it any value? Who backs it? Well, the dollar's not backed by anything but the world's biggest military. We've had other countries decide not to use the dollar, and we know how that went for them.
Yep.
But
we came, we saw, he died.
Muammar Gaddafi, right? He was one.
Correct.
Libya, right?
Correct. Yeah. They wanted to use gold for oil and things like that.
Yep.
But like I said, the people that print the money don't really invite competition. But Bitcoin got started, and it took off, and it developed this user base to where now there's so many thousands of computers, so much computer power. It is said that the Bitcoin network has more computing power than NASA, the NSA, and Google combined. You were saying earlier something about cracking into the system. Technically, you could kind of crack or get into Bitcoin, but you would have, it's called a 51% attack, to where you would have to have the computing power of greater, like I said, add up NASA and NSA and Google computing power. Bitcoin is more than them combined. And now, in order to attack Bitcoin, you'd have to have computing power of 51% greater. You'd have to have half that again and a little bit more to start steering things. And that's just you're better off just buying Bitcoin than attacking it. If you've got the kind of money to mount that kind of attack, one, you're talking about 3 or 4 countries working in concert, which I'm not saying can't happen. It could happen. Right. But the way the Bitcoin blockchain updates every 10 minutes, the teaching on that topic is, say 10 countries got together and used their computer power to attack Bitcoin, it would work for about 10 minutes. Then the next block would be mined, and the rest of the people in the Bitcoin world would go, no, we're not doing what that group. So you would just, you fork the blockchain. Right. It's called soft fork and hard fork. I'm kind of getting off on technical.
That's right. That's how Bitcoin Cash came about. That's how Litecoin came about, I think.
You're right.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Litecoin is just a literal clone of the Bitcoin code, except instead of giving it a 21 million cap, they gave it an 84 million cap. And it was designed with good intent to be silver to Bitcoin's gold. The idea was, well, there may not be enough Bitcoin, or people feel they're late. So we have this other one that works, when you don't need 100. The thing about Bitcoin is the security created by all these computers working together. No other Litecoin or XRP, no other competing, you might say, cryptocurrency is ever going to see again the network effect that Bitcoin has, with all the adherents, proponents, enthusiasts, technical people, all the PhD brains in the world that have been working on Bitcoin and behind the scenes, because they did it for a cause. All these other cryptos are doing it because they either want to make money quick and then dump on the people that are buying it, or it's more of a CBD situation where a government wants to establish controls. It won't happen with Bitcoin, in the sense that there's more computers now operating the Bitcoin network and keeping it going, that it ran for 2, 3, 4, 5 years where everybody thought it was a joke, but the people behind it knew it was for a cause, and it wasn't to get rich. It was to have uncensorable money that the government couldn't track you with. Yeah. The value of Bitcoin, one question on that is that with a password in my head, I can cross a border and take all of my wealth and my family with me safely. You can't do that with any other asset in all of history. You cannot, if you've got 10,000 or 100,000 in cash or in gold or in collectibles or in wine or in art or in pearls, or, you're not going to cross the border with that unless, they let you, they shake you down. But if you're a political dissident, is what I mean, and you're escaping for the sake of your life because you've been to one too many government protests or whatever. So Bitcoin, it's about freedom. That's what I say. People come for the gains, but they stay for the revolution when they realize what is possible and that you can actually own something that can't be taken away from you, can't be inflated or manipulated, like you said. So that's kind of that's the value of it, is that I own this and you can't take it from me.
Yeah.
And it's got the flash and dazzle of a pretty girl. So I'm just gonna write Bitcoin equals Kathleen, Annie, Anna. I tell you, Guy, if I had talked to you 15 years ago, you might have been able to save me a lot of money on therapy bills by just comparing all these girls I'm
dating.
dated to,
You guys know a lot, actually. You have really good questions. You're further along.
He's a gun guy.
Yeah, I know guns and books.
He knows
Nick does money.
I do. Well, I know. I know. I wouldn't say I know. I'm not going to say I know crypto because I don't. But I'm familiar with it. I'm familiar with it. And I want to ask you. Okay, I really want to jump over.
Thank you.
I really want to jump over to aliens and UFOs.
I know, but this is so
this is
tough,
really,
man.
But there's another crypto related question I have to ask as someone who kind of has been following this whole XRP. Excuse me, not XRP. Ripple versus the SEC.
He's been riding the Ripple. I've
had a vested interest in this lawsuit ending for over a year now. And we keep hearing, you hear everything. It's about to end. It'll never end, and everything in between. Like, what, as someone who writes for, Bitcoin Magazine, someone who is looking at all this stuff every day, this is always one of the top things going on in crypto. What do you think is going to happen? How long do you think this is going to be before things wrap up?
As long as they need it to.
As long as SEC needs it to.
Yeah, you're following it, and if you're vested in it, then Gary Gensler, head of the SEC. I mean, we've covered it earlier with Derek. He was having regular meetings with Sam Bankman-Fried. Their criminal activity. It's like I said. It's kind of I perceive it as, I think there's a behind the scenes World Economic Forum almost fight or debate on, is Ethereum going to be one, or is XRP going to be the one that they use? Ripple, the company, they've got accounts and banks they work with. 90% of the world is actually working with them. It's hung up in the U.S. You know the difference between, they're fighting over whether it's a security or not, don't you?
Yep.
Yeah. Ultimately, there's a good argument that all cryptos other than Bitcoin are securities.
Yeah.
Bitcoin is classified now as a commodity, just like gold or oil or pork bellies. And the ruling on that is that there's not one specific company or person that's responsible for what Bitcoin's performance is. XRP and Ripple are, it goes back to the 40s with the question of oranges. Are the oranges are security, but if I invest in oranges, I am investing in this one company's ability to take my money and make more with it by what they do with their oranges and their orange trees. But I have nothing to do with it. The same as if you buy gold or if you buy any stock, you don't have anything to do with it. You're just hoping the market and things go up. But for something to be a security, you are relying on the efforts of other individuals, and specifically the company that you are buying stock in.
Yeah,
that is what a security is. And that was the question, is that when XRP as a currency or as a computer program they were playing around with it for a long time, one company was doing it all, but it is leaked out, or it's been sold, and it's in the market now, to where the argument is that one company, and this is the same thing that they say they let Ethereum off on, is that after a few years, it seemed to be sufficiently decentralized to where the Ethereum Foundation or the Ripple company weren't as directly responsible for the day-to-day value of the thing they invented anymore, because the free market had sort of grabbed a hold of it, and people they're tweaking the code, they're adding side chains, they're doing new things with it that the company never even thought of, that makes the currency valuable. The only thing is, on all these other, I think we were close to going on the old Bitcoin, not crypto rant here, is that Bitcoin is the only one that is truly decentralized.
Yeah.
And there's no one person or committee, like I said with Ethereum, it's the Ethereum Foundation, that they sort of messed up on the securities commodity thing, they sort of got a free pass, which should not have happened. Many would argue, when it was stated that, as far as we can tell, Bitcoin and Ethereum are commodities. They're not securities anymore. That should not have applied to Ethereum. I think there was some little insider crap with that. Jay Clayton,
I'm
the SEC,
sure.
they're picking and choosing winners. If you're following XRP, you've heard that phrase over and over. The SEC is picking and choosing winners, companies, corporations that they are sided with. So like I said, if you're into Ethereum, you're sided with JP Morgan Chase and the World Economic Forum. If you're into XRP, you're kind of sided with Bank of America and the company Ripple and the World Economic Forum as well.
It's
that Hegelian dialectic.
You what?
I was just saying, it's that Hegelian dialectic. It's that, problem, reaction, solution, one person playing both. Yeah,
it makes me
frustrated. It's Luciferian.
There it is. I'll agree with that. That's his catchphrase.
I say it like every live stream. Sorry.
Hashtag Luciferian. Okay.
It makes me frustrated at the government. I know a lot of people do feel this way as well, because the SEC is saying Bitcoin and XRP are not the same thing. They're saying XRP is a security, Bitcoin isn't, or they're saying XRP is a security, but Ethereum isn't. That's the SEC, right?
That's
government agency,
saying,
right?
Yeah.
Now over here on the other government agency called the IRS, I work in an accounting firm, and what's interesting to me is that when you make a donation of a crypto asset, whether it's an NFT, whether it's a cryptocurrency like Bitcoin or Ethereum or XRP, if you make a donation of crypto, it's not counted as like a contribution of funds. It's not treated like funding.
The donor does not owe capital gains tax.
It's not.
They never realized the profit.
Right. They don't treat it like it's donation of stock. They don't treat it like it's donation of cash. It's treated like a donation. Just like it's an in-kind donation. Just like if you were to give a bag of old clothes to Goodwill and they gave you a receipt, you treat that differently when you write it off than you would cash. So over here, they're saying, IRS is saying, no, it's commodity. It's an in-kind donation. It's not security. It's not money. But over here, the SEC is saying, oh, no, it's definitely security.
I like this topic. It's one of my hobby horses. Don't get me riled up kind of thing.
Get riled up.
It's fun. I never get to talk about this.
For the purpose of it boils down to the currency or the commodity question is that here's what's going on, because the one article I've ever written for Bitcoin Magazine, I read a lot and I copy edit a lot with them and other companies, but the one that I published was a guy that is in jail for selling Bitcoin. And it's a huge thing to try to sum up, but what they're saying, like when I got interested in Bitcoin more than around 5 years ago, I wanted to know how to turn around and sell it to my friends, because the IRS says they classify Bitcoin as property, the same as if you donate a house or you donate your car. Bitcoin is property that you own, and capital gains taxes are applicable to property. If I buy a house for $100,000 and sell it for $200,000, I have $100,000 in tax liability that I have to pay gains on, because that was income in their view. Now, the weird thing is, on the foreign exchange market, they don't treat currencies that way. We all know that, the dollar trades against the won and the yen and the peso a little bit. These little percentages fluctuate. If we go to Mexico and we drop off our dollars and we get a bunch of pesos, and, maybe the exchange rate is fluctuating, say we're there for a week or two, but we've bought some margaritas, some sombreros and enchiladas, and we come back, if that were treated the same way as Bitcoin, they would want you to have a record of, well, how much was the peso when you bought it on Monday?
Right.
How much had it gone up or down in value when you spent some on Wednesday, and then the same on Thursday and the same on Friday. So currencies, according to the IRS, are not subject to capital gains. They just fluctuate. Bitcoin is property. But here's the rub. When I go to sell my Bitcoin and I start learning how to do that, I start reading all these articles that there's people in jail for selling Bitcoin, you would say, on the black market, because they don't have a money transmitter's license. And that's what you need as a bank, and that's what you need as a check cashing store. Those are
Right.
all money transmitters, and you are, well, wait a minute. You just said Bitcoin's property when you want to tax it,
Right.
because tax doesn't apply to currencies or money.
Mm-hmm.
But when you want to arrest me for using it,
Mhm.
all of a sudden it's
Yeah.
currency because I don't have a money transmitter. I even looked into it. I was willing to get a money transmitter's license for where I
Really?
live in New Mexico. Well, you needed like $1,000 or $2,000 to apply. You need $1,000 or $2,000 a year to keep your license going.
Mhm.
Okay, I might do that. Oh, and you also have to have $100,000 in net worth to get your
Oh.
money transmitter's license. So you can see the
that all?
barrier to entry to me or you selling our Bitcoin now.
Uh-huh.
But the IRS says Bitcoin is property, to where like if I own a lawnmower and sell it at a garage sale,
Mhm.
I probably took a loss. So the IRS doesn't want the money from that so much.
Right.
But I can sell you my comic books or my lawnmower because they're my property. And if I sell them for significantly more than I paid for them, I would owe some capital gains tax on that.
Mm-hmm.
So when I go to sell my Bitcoin, can't I just sell you guys some Bitcoin, pay my capital gains tax on it? No, you need a money transmitter's license for that. Well, is it money or property?
Yeah, it's whatever they need
Yeah.
it to be
Yeah.
in order to.
That's what I was
It's
saying.
that
earlier.
meme of
Yeah.
Yeah,
government.
that's
side.
Yeah.
And that's the first part of the interview.
All right.
Hard
what do you
edit
guys-
there. My apologies.
Hard cut.
By the way, greetings, Madeline Kimbrough. Thanks for joining.
Yeah,
Good
what's
to
up,
see you
Madeline?
on. Yeah, so that's Guy Malone. I'll load up the second part of the interview here. And what do you guys think so far about? I saw some pretty interesting comments and opinions about Bitcoin, but
Yeah.
also CBDCs.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't like the idea of a central bank digital currency that we're all going to be forced to use.
Mm-hmm.
Like nobody but the banks thinks that's a good idea.
Right. Yeah. Which is how you know that it might be a good idea to start getting into bartering and get out of the whole,
Yep, there were a lot of good comments about
get out of the usury Babylonian
like,
lending debt
what-
system,
what should we barter.
or else the black helicopters are going to come for you. I mean, I say that in jest, but like in 10 years.
Dude, I saw a black helicopter
Yeah.
a couple months ago fly over a house like 500 feet.
Really?
Yeah, super low. There's a guy sitting out on the side of it. Yeah, it was one of those
Scoping out the Goslings.
Yeah, maybe, I don't know, maybe it was a
Struck a
probably
nerve.
a training thing that they were doing.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was creepy. It was really creepy.
Wow.
Yeah. We had a fire going out back, so I guess it was like back in October, I think.
Oh yeah.
But it was creepy. I've been watching ever since. I'm like, did we strike a nerve?
We may have.
You know,
You
our
never
tiny
know.
little channel. They're sending helicopters after us for our tiny little channel.
Mhm.
Come on.
We're gonna get Clinton.
No.
Yep.
No.
Two to the back of the
We
head.
want to talk about the most harmless channel on the internet that talks about this stuff.
Are we though?
Dude, I live in the
we
burbs
are.
and
Yeah.
I homeschool.
Yeah, we are. Yeah.
I drive a Toyota Corolla.
Yeah. I don't leave the
What do you got to
house.
worry about?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. We got a cool new feature too on Restream, and we want to play around with it with you guys a little bit.
Yeah.
It's like this cool thing that has QR codes. I'm going to put Jonathan's book up here. Check this
Oh,
out.
Thank you.
This cool little thing. I can click this and you can look at that. Isn't that cool?
By Heavenly Realms.
Like,
the
it
first
just-
book, Empyrean Falling, with a QR code.
Like this new feature. And look, you can do like a different view. Check this out.
Oh, that's cool.
Doesn't that look cool?
Wow.
That's the audiobook cover, by the way, but that's the price for the actual printed copy.
Yeah, the paperback.
Isn't that cool looking?
That is awesome.
It's freaking awesome, man. And I got my books in there too. Henry Half Moon. Check this out.
Yeah.
I love that cover.
That'll make J. Reese Bradley happy.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So
Show Henry Half Moon
yeah,
some love.
Jay Reese Bradley has a YouTube channel, and she uses Restream sometimes.
Mhm.
And Jay Reese, they've got really, really cool new features. If you do a subscription to them, sometimes it's worth it because they got some really cool
Yeah.
stuff. Oh yeah, and it even shows where it creates a comment when I share the QR code. It creates a comment in the chat.
Yeah. See, that's a good thing because it'll probably be a while before we hit 10,000 subscribers and can get the carousel for, like our merch up there.
Yeah.
So in the meantime, like, this is a cool feature. And we'll still be able to do both. I think the carousel won't work for Amazon, but it'll work for Teespring.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
that's right.
We'll be able to get our T-shirts up there.
We'll look like
on
a
the
proper
carousel.
channel.
Yeah. Trying.
Yeah.
Inch by inch, baby, we get there.
Yeah. Gabe says the Tiki Room is awesome, by the way. He was in here
Thank you.
with us a couple days ago.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that. It's
Yeah.
fun. It is my sanctuary.
It is.
It's my studio and sanctuary.
It is our home away from home.
Yeah.
Or our home.
Complete with fairy cage for phones.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Cool. We should probably, you want to promote our books? You want to talk about your book a little bit? Let's do it. We're just going to play. We're just playing around. It's the Super Bowl. Nobody's watching. Right?
Yeah, it's a Super Bowl, right?
Just our friends.
All the cool people.
So I'll go back to this classic view. I think that one was the coolest. Tell us about your book.
Yeah, so I wrote a 7-novel series about the wars between the angels. Christian epic fantasy is probably like the best way to pigeonhole it if you had to classify it as something. But it is about Michael the Archangel and Gabriel and Lucifer and the wars between them as Lucifer leads the 1/3 into revolt in heaven. And then there are 6 other books after Empyrean falling that continues the saga with all of these characters inspired heavily by Paradise Lost, Braveheart, The 13th Warrior, Gettysburg, all of the great war epics. Gates of Fire, pretty much Pressfield's entire catalog.
Yeah.
Could not have been written without, Stephen Pressfield's contributions, such as the War of Art.
It's basically the Battle of Gettysburg meets the Book of Revelation.
Yeah. It really is. Yeah. And it's a lot of fun to write, and it's probably written for a fighting age male audience. I would say it could skirt the line of being young adult. It's certainly safe for YA readers. It might be a little wordy for them, know. But it was a lot of fun to write, and it took me 20 years to get it up and ready and published, and we finally got there. And I could not have done it without Nick sort of being the pathfinder here and paving the way with none other than the Timepiece, his Travelers League series. So
wrote a middle grade. Here, I'll put it up here. Wrote a middle grade fantasy series called The Travelers League, and the first book was The Timepiece. It was a story I made up with my kid. As I was putting him to bed, we started making up a story about a boy who's given this magic timepiece, and every time he sets it to a different hour, it takes him to a different fantasy world where he encounters all kinds of mischief and challenges and things, and he has to escape. He's got to go through all 12 hours of the timepiece. And along the way, of course, he meets friends. He's got to escape. There's this nefarious wizard sorcerer that is trapped in one of those worlds that's waiting for the next traveler to come through with a timepiece so we can steal it and escape and take over all the worlds. So that's what it's all about. Super fun book. It is now an 8-book series for 8 to 12-year-olds. It's really great.
Middle grade fiction.
Yeah.
And lots of fun, and people have loved it. Like, dude, you've been in the paper.
Yeah, well, local. Yeah, a little local paper here is cool. I got it printed up here on the wall because it's a vanity. It's a vanity item.
Dude, if I did it, I would wallpaper my whole house with. I'd be so happy. Are you kidding me? Yeah. So, and that's kind of actually how the Goslings started out. I had been writing the Heavenly Realm since the Heavenly Realm series since I was 17 years old, and kind of gave up on it. And then in 2018, Nick, without me knowing, published the Timepiece, wrote and published this thing on Amazon KDP. And I was like, dude, I've been trying to get published for 20 years now, or 15 years. How did you make this happen? And so he told me about it, and
self-publishing
through Amazon KDP. We hire cover artists, we hire editors, and you do all the marketing. We're actually going to talk about that in next week's episode with Stephen Pressfield.
The great Stephen Pressfield.
Fireside Chat episode 2 with Uncle Steve. And him and Diana are on. Diana is his girlfriend and sort of his right-hand queen when it comes to, all all of the pieces on the chessboard of self-publishing.
Yep.
So
Yep.
yeah, it's been a lot of fun. And then you also wrote Henry Half Moon,
Yep.
which is a paranormal urban young adult thriller, I guess.
Yeah, it's a paranormal urban fantasy.
Yeah.
Yep, young adult. Yeah.
And it kind of
And there it is. In that that's a
so
sickle.
cool.
Yeah.
That's such a killer cover. And the great thing about Henry Half Moon, it doesn't get as much traction with like the homeschool crowd as the timepiece because it's more
supernatural.
Yeah, and it's more young adult and it's for more serious audiences, whereas the timepiece is middle grade, so it's more for kids. But Henry Half Moon definitely dovetails nicely into the Goslings. Like if you're watching the Goslings and you're into like all the cool
The
esoteric,
Nephilim, the Anunnaki.
yeah, the Christian fringe sort of conspiracy stuff, then you will really enjoy Henry Half Moon.
Yeah.
And you might enjoy the Heavenly Realms books also, but you will definitely enjoy Henry Half Moon.
Mama Shaw said she highly recommends Heavenly Realms.
Ah, thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mama Shaw. Yeah, she's been a big supporter. Her and Angela both, her and J. Reese Bradley both have been big fans of those books. And it's so funny. Like, here's the thing: you can't predict the internet. You'll never in a million years, if you asked me like who would like the stuff I write, I would have been like, well, of course it's going to be me and people like me because that's who I wrote it for. You know, like fighting age males. Nope. Turns out like it's just like based cool people. You know, like. There's so many like.
Well, that should say something about yourself and your writing.
No. Yeah. Yes, I'll take it. Thank you. Yeah. I was trying to think of something witty and self-deprecating, but I couldn't come up with anything.
Tommy, so brothers don't shake hands. Brothers gotta hug.
Hashtag brother love. So yeah, if you're interested in any of those, that's kind of how the Goslings got started. We originally were writers group, just my brother and I, and then we sort of transitioned into doing this live stream as just like a fun thing on Sunday nights to update people on what we were doing. No one was watching. It was so weird and hilarious. And
we were just talking about writing. We were interviewing writers, authors.
Yeah, then we started interviewing writers and authors, and then
and then
Gary Wayne.
And then Gary Wayne. Jonathan scored an interview with Gary Wayne.
And then once we got Gary Wayne, it was like, the doors just blew off the hinges as far as what God decided the Goslings was supposed to be about. So now we just try to stay out of his way.
And he's coming back too, right? Isn't that next month?
Who, God or Gary Wayne?
Well, maybe both. Maybe both.
Who knows at this point?
Hopefully Gary Wayne first.
Well, I'll take any of them at this point,
Take either one.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So anyways, if you like those books, if any of that interests you, if you're interested in middle grade fiction for your kids that's safe and homeschool friendly and godly and still exciting and fun, check out Traveler's League by Nick Goss. If you have teenagers or somebody who might be interested in paranormal fantasy, check out Henry Half Moon. It is a lot of fun, and it is very similar to the material covered here on the Goslings. And if you're interested in medieval fantasy-style angelic warfare that involves brothers and faith and fear and, the human condition put into strange sort of Christian fantasy garb, then check out Heavenly Realms.
That's right.
And they're available on audiobook as well. So you can get them paperback, ebook, or audiobook as narrated by our good friend Adam Burrell. So
the great narrator himself.
Yeah, you should do we want to show the other QR codes, or do we want to save that?
No, we'll do those later. Let's get back into Guy Malone. This is where we pivot to UFOs.
Yes.
It's a really fun part.
Round
2. Here we go.
Guy Malone.
Here's the difference, though, between the Bitcoin and Ethereum network is who runs the Bitcoin network is you and you and you and you and you and me and 20,000 other people running computer nodes all around the world. There's people in North Korea and North Arkansas running Bitcoin nodes right now. The Ethereum network is 70% of it. I want to say 70% of it is hosted or is contracted out to where Amazon Web Services runs more of the Ethereum network than the users do. So you get the CIA or a presidential order, Jeff Bezos, hey, flick off the Ethereum network.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. They can do that. They can do that to every other crypto out there, more or less. So between Bitcoin and Ethereum, just all I meant was you can't, there's no one company or organization that they can say to flip off the Bitcoin network.
Yeah. Well, it makes sense because, when you have a monopoly on violence, then you can flip the switch
Yeah.
or dictate the rules however you feel that day. And we all like to think that we live in this nice, polite society, but it's the jungle, and it's just buried under layers of
Well, they flipped the switch on Parler.
politeness. Yeah.
They flipped the switch
and every
on
now
Parler.
and then the beast comes, crawling out of those societal niceties layers, of legal paperwork and, legalese and constitutional law to really rear its ugly head and say,
But at the end of the day, it's eminent domain.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's eminent domain, and it's the only reason why you pay your taxes is because if you don't, eventually somebody with the force continuum
There it is.
of a predator drone will,
you will suffer violence.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's the only reason anybody does anything, and anybody who says otherwise is lying to themselves about their own delusional virtue.
And that force, that disgusting force that governments wield is going to go global at some point.
Oh, absolutely.
It's going to go global at some point. And
I agree.
they're going to be utilizing some sort of currency that's centralized that they can control. A smaller version of that is what you were talking about with Amazon. They could flip the switch on Ethereum. They flipped the switch on Parler for political reasons.
Yeah.
For political reasons.
Well, the leader of the Proud Boys,
and
You should look into Nostra, Nostr. Appropriately enough, the app is DAMUS, so it's Nostradamus. Nostradamus, but Nostra stands. It is a decentralized social network being built on top of the Bitcoin network. That they will not, like Parler. How did they flip the switch? They just pulled it out of the Apple Store. Is that
they had to?
No, they shut down the servers.
Yeah, they shut down the servers. Parler was hosting their servers on Amazon's web server service.
They were under the wrong
companies
aegis,
now that are doing their own hosting. There's Bitcoin only companies that are creating their own servers and web hosting, to where wasn't Parler even building a payment network though that was not hosted elsewhere?
I don't know.
Possibly.
Well, the newest thing is the most decentralized one, and Jack Dorsey, who was with Twitter, is behind this, and he donated. Well, I was going to say money. He donated, I think, 14 Bitcoin to help, but it is a completely decentralized. It is run on Bitcoin servers, like I said, that are in North Korea and North Arkansas. You can't flip a switch, or you can't call somebody and say, turn this off. So we do have a social network that is forming that will Nostra, Nostr. I'm not on it yet, but most of the Bitcoin hardcore guys are, and I'm slacking on that one. But no, we do have that coming. They won't be able to do to Nostra what happened with Parler. Or I guess MeWe is doing good still.
I haven't been on MeWe in a long time. It's been like maybe a year. I was on there first. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to get on. I'm going to get on early. We're going to need this. And then things kind of cooled off a little bit. And I'm like, I'll just go back to the other, but that was awesome. I really enjoyed talking about Bitcoin and crypto with you. I kind of want to change gears now.
While we still have time.
Yeah. We still have time, because I want to talk about your history in giving talks about UFOs and aliens. I know you live in Roswell, New Mexico. You're a Christian,
and you're from here,
and you're from Nashville. And get this,
Nashville. I was going to ask you guys what part of Tennessee. Okay,
we're in Spring Hill.
Yeah, I'm a Nashville native, and Nick's been living here for like 30 years. So
20 years.
Yeah. So it's always nice. Yeah, that's right.
Now you ran for
bless my heart.
I think it was last year. You ran for mayor. Actually, you were running for mayor.
Right, I did.
Tell me about that.
Part of my platform was arts, not aliens. That I believe we have a lot of stuff going on in Roswell that is worthy of promotion and does attract people here. But my view on aliens in general is that it's a demonic deception. Actually, and I think a lot of your viewers and you guys are similar on that page. So just as a moral thing, I didn't feel that as a city that we're really doing ourselves any favors by promoting the doctrines of devils, basically as the signature as the signature item for what our town is known for. And part of what I was offering it involved bringing in Bitcoin as far as making money, and was also a secession movement to try to join up with Texas, to where I own the domain RoswellTexas.com.
Dude, I love this guy.
That's awesome.
Thanks.
Let's
This is
rewrite
great,
the
man.
map,
I
baby.
love this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I tried to I came up with the analogy too late, but I realized, which means I might have to run again. I don't know for sure.
Oh, yeah,
that
you have
my-
to. You have
Could your
to.
my
slogan
campaign-
be Alien 2 Electric Boogaloo?
Yeah,
I like that.
yeah. I was I was angling towards an altar call for Roswell. Is that we have an opportunity to change your identity right now? Do you want to be known as aliens forever? You're never going to think Roswell, New Mexico and not think aliens anymore. Damage is done. The deed is done,
Yeah.
we'll say. But okay, Roswell, Texas. I'll give you a new name. Oh, but we make so much money from this alien crap. Let's start mining Bitcoin from City Hall. Oh,
Yeah.
there was a town in Texas that did it first. They got the headlines and the notoriety of putting a couple Bitcoin mining computers, old ones for that matter, is symbolic more than anything, in town hall using city electricity to mine Bitcoin. I wanted that for Roswell, just
Yeah.
give a new identity. So I was the bronze medalist for mayor. Turns out I got third place, and there was a
Nice.
fourth place.
Nice.
So pulled 10% of the vote, which a lot of people thought was
That's
like
awesome.
insanely high.
Yeah,
Not
that's
what I was
awesome.
going for, but yeah,
That's pretty
no
based,
name,
guy.
first time out. It was a nonpartisan race. When our mayor elections, you don't have to declare a party.
Cool.
There was a pretty clear conservative versus Democrat, Republican, Democrat, and then me. The X factor or whatever like that. But yeah, 10% might have been the vote splitter there. I got to admit, I pulled a Steve Forbes on my
You
little town
know,
of
but
Roswell here.
guy, you're kind of doing the Lord's work though there, man. I
Yeah.
mean, you cannot
Thank you.
serve God and mammon, and here you are trying to set up something that's independent and very safe, and it gets people out of that doctrine of demon shell game.
Yeah,
and
you're
you
trying
can
to
rewrite the
sanctify a
map.
town,
Yeah.
trying to sanctify a town.
Fight
An
for the
altar
soul
call
of the town, man.
That's awesome.
That is
You know
very
what it's
cool,
like
guy.
living in Roswell? I used to get asked, so do the churches here, support you? And it was a tough call for me because, well, they really didn't. But I realized if I just said that, it would leave the interviewer or perhaps their audience wondering, well, we don't live here. We don't know things about this guy that the local church, maybe there's something about him that they're not
Mhm.
supporting. Maybe it's not his view. So, either if I would just openly tell people, no, the churches aren't that supportive. The one I was attending, Christ Church, got $100 a month from them. But the overall picture of it was they didn't want to know, that they wouldn't come near. And I realized, let's say you go to the best analogy I had, because either it made me look stupid, like I wasn't worth supporting, or it made the churches look stupid, like, why aren't you supporting this guy, this work, this view? So I was like, let's say you had this calling, and your local fellowship agreed this was from God, you should do this, to move to the North Pole, where everybody sells pictures of Santa, and the church deacons dress up as elves. The tourists come from all over the world to get their pictures and their kids to sit in Santa's lap, and candy canes, and the whole merchandising of the town is candy canes and Christmas. And you show up and put up a big sign in the center of 2nd and Main and says, Jesus is the reason for the season.
Oof.
Santa Claus is the fake.
Yeah.
There's no
Nope.
such thing.
Got to have that sweet
the local
demon
church
money.
there, they might say, we get where you're coming from, but this is how we make our money. So
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, well, it's not even that you're saying Santa is fake. You're saying Santa is Satan.
Yeah.
yeah.
Look, churches love nothing more than that sweet, sweet demon cash. Let me tell you.
True.
Because
Yeah.
they will sell out in a heartbeat.
Oh, yeah.
And then
Meanwhile,
ask
I'm
you to
getting
do
emails
everything for
from
free.
people that are being abused by elves.
Yeah.
There's a real spiritual thing happening here where the elves are tormenting people, taking them on trips out of their bedroom and having lewd sex out in the woods with them. You're okay with that, church? Yeah, it makes us money, therefore it is good.
Yeah.
That is the view in Roswell. Like you may know, I've had a few conferences here bringing in like PhD theologians, published authors, orthodox biblical views on UFOs and abductions. Christian Symposium on Aliens. Here we got 3 PhD scholars and pastors and authors. Local church won't come out to see it. A lot of people did, a couple local individuals, but most of the attendance at that was from people that did not live in Roswell. And the view here, I say often, is they are willfully ignorant. It's not that they don't know what the Bible may or may not say about these topics. They don't want to know. It makes
But that-
money go forward is good.
Yeah. Well, what about churches outside of Roswell? This is something that boggles my mind. Like, we know there's obviously, financial gain for the churches in Roswell to keep everything on the aliens or alien rails
For
you know.
individuals, whether they're
Right,
churches,
but-
businesses, or not. Mhm.
Yeah, but what about churches outside Roswell? How come they never want to address this growing phenomenon of increased sightings, increased abduction experiences? Like
Yeah,
the church everywhere
disclosure.
else doesn't want to address it either. Why do you think that is?
It's hard to pin down exactly. You have to do a good deep study, like the talks you may have seen myself or Joe Jordan and others have done here in town, to arrive at the demonic hypothesis. Takes a little bit of discipline. It takes a little bit of research. There's not an easy pat answer. So 99, because it's a tough question, 99% of even pastors, if they're asked, they're going to say, well, the Bible doesn't really say much about life on other planets. You're right, it does not, but it does say in the end times, people will give way to seducing spirits and doctrines of devils. And look, here's a match for it. And when you talk to the abductees, the experiencers, they all you ask them, well, did these entities say anything to you? And whether it's through hypnosis or whether it's through conscious recall or interviews, the answer is always, well, yes, they did. And the things that they talked about were spiritual in nature. It's Eastern religion, reincarnation. You agreed to this abduction experience in a prior life for the benefit of humanity. It's where you find out more and more. You have to actually deal with the weird people, which churches don't really like doing either.
That's true.
Of course.
That's true. Yeah.
You have to deal with weird people that are having tormenting experiences happening to them. So if you were to go to your local church or a pastor, knock on the door, hey, I'm having alien abduction issues. Can you help me? I would say 99% of normal 501c3 church pastors, they're going to be way more inclined to get you to a psychiatrist. And they are to the Word of God for your problem. And what I've run into, what I've called people out on, is that when people have these questions, honest intellectual questions from childhood, or maybe they're an experiencer with a real need, is so what you're accidentally saying is that my Bible and my God are not suitable for your need. Go elsewhere. Get out of my office.
That's exactly what
Well said.
We talked about that with and that's where they wind up, because it's the only place they can get in. So we were talking to Vicki Joy Anderson about that, because she talks a lot about sleep paralysis and demonic possession
and these types of abduction experiences
and abductions. And that's something that Nick and I have sort of circled the wagons on several times here on the Goslings, is the repeated failure of the church to engage with people who are having these experiences, because they either shuffle you off to a therapist, to a psychologist, who will maybe do some sort of what is it, EMD, sort of regressive therapy.
EMDR,
something
like that.
And then or they'll shuffle you off to a psychiatrist who will give you pills for possible schizophrenia and bipolar type 2, or
Pharmakia.
whatever. Pharmakia. And what they won't do is sit down and say, well, these are probably demonic in nature, and we should get you in a prayer study and a Bible study group, and we should come to your house and pray over you. And, they don't want to engage in that, because what if you wind up on 60 Minutes as, the demon possessor,
the alien exorcist kind of stuff.
The alien exorcist pastor. Yeah,
that's right.
You might as well be the guy in Florida burning the Quran. When
I moved to New Mexico, there was a pastor in '99 doing that with Harry Potter books. I was like,
oh yeah, that's right.
The Harry Potter
thing
pastor.
About the demonic hypothesis, or when you're asking about, is the people that are having like you're saying, they might get you to a psychiatrist or prescribe drugs or regression therapy when the only provable, repeatable way of stopping an alien abduction in progress as it's happening is by using the name of Jesus Christ.
Jesus Christ.
saying
Yeah,
that the
it's happened
deliverance
to
exorcism.
Yep.
both of us.
Yeah,
I
sleep
mean,
paralysis. Yeah.
yeah.
They overlap huge. I think it's all more or less the same. These
Yep.
entities are aware that, they've been watching us for a few thousand years or more, but when we sleep, your brain disconnects from your body in a sense to where you're not acting out your dreams. You're not
Right.
running. You're not
Mhm.
kicking the person next to you because you're
I'm not
falling in
Ron
your
Swanson
dreams.
sleep fighting. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. And that's where the sleep paralysis comes in, where you're alert and you might be half awake, but your body isn't able to move yet. And the alien deception is that they're using some fantastic technology to hold you while they go and do what they do. 500 years
Violence
ago,
as
it
they
was little
please.
people. It was elves and fairies 500
Yep.
years ago. It wasn't aliens, but little people, big
Mhm.
eyes, magic wands, lewd sex out in the woods. Same story over and over. But 500 years ago, you went to the church if you had that problem. You needed
Yep.
an exorcism or something like that. Nowadays, thing is, the sci-fi movement for the last 50 plus years has been so successful. I think, and again, I get in trouble for the things I say, but
Same.
most pastors, if you ask about the topic of other planets, even, is that all of our theology comes from science fiction, doesn't come from the Bible anymore. That, I would say Hollywood and Steven Spielberg have done more to shape people's beliefs about this than Bible or pastors have. But again, you were asking about the pastors, the church, is that it's a tough topic. It gets into doctrine that the pastor is not studied on or comfortable ruling on.
Right.
They also, pastors they're given this huge burden of expecting to know every answer to every question you or I could possibly come up with.
Sure.
So it's not a sin that the guy hasn't spent the last 40 years studying aliens. That's okay.
Yeah.
But
Right.
just say, I don't know. I don't have an answer. I'm not sure.
Mhm.
But here's some books and resources by trusted, credentialed Christian scholars you could look into. And every one of those by trusted, credentialed Christian scholars winds up at the demonic hypothesis eventually.
Yeah.
And again, if the name of Jesus stops it, that's really all some people need to know. Oh, well, it's a spiritual phenomenon then. It is not true aliens from other planets coming. And then they're starting new religions, the Raelian religion, all these societies that were big in California. Yeah, you walk down Hollywood, you can see a couple UFO cult headquarters. Dianetics, Scientology.
Yep.
We know now, thanks to South Park, that really is an alien UFO cult.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Thank you,
the
Matt and
number of
Trey.
new religions started by the contactees that are in opposition to biblical Christianity is another big red flag. What's the fruit of this UFO phenomena?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And that was the thing that did it for me and Nick. I remember, I grew up loving Star Wars and Babylon 5 and, and even some of the, Star Trek movies and just sci-fi in general. And I remember being
Farscape?
10 years. Farscape's awesome.
Okay. All right.
Farscape's cool. Just for the technical proficiency alone of the, the puppets and the special effects.
Yeah, they finally got Muppets in Space done right.
Muppets in Space done right. Yes.
Yeah.
Don't tell your wife
Love
we said that.
Love that.
We'll be in trouble. But yeah, that's the thing. You grow up loving that stuff and wishing for it and hoping it'll happen someday. And being thoroughly bummed out and bored by modern technology. And because who wants to join the Navy if you can't fly a TIE interceptor? And and then I remember being 10 years old and asking my grandfather, like, Granddaddy, do you believe in aliens? And he was like a Korean War veteran in the Air Force, and he knew everything about planes. And he was like, no, honey, I don't. I was like, well, why? I was mad, and he's like, well, it's not in the Bible. And, it sounds so dumb, when you're growing up, when you're a petulant child, but then you get older and you realize, like, when your father talks about, I just want a simple faith. And when your grandfather has these seemingly, dumb one-dimensional answers, like, no, those guys are actually right. and you're
Yeah.
just
In
over
that case, yeah.
intellectualizing it because you have no faith and because you're a prideful moron. So
We've
you
done the
know.
work. We've had the Christian Symposium on Aliens here in Roswell during the UFO festival season. It's always July
Awesome.
4th weekend.
Okay.
And sometimes I go big with a conference. Sometimes I just sit at a local shop and do a little book signing table. My
Is it
friend
every
down here-
year?
Hmm?
Is it
The
every year,
Roswell
guy?
UFO Festival is every year.
But your
Yeah.
thing, when is your thing?
I haven't done a
annually?
big conference since 2017 or 18.
Okay.
But I work more to market what I've already created over the years. We've got like 7 years worth of DVD or videos recorded. It's all free on YouTube.
Yeah.
That's a big thing is everything I've done is free on the internet.
That's awesome.
So, so a lot of the people that even we disagree with other Christians in this realm who are selling their books and they, get X amount of dollars to come and talk at your conference. Some of them are saying different things. If you look at like Joe Jordan, who I think he's tight with Derek. We say for free and put it online for free, and we sometimes wind up disagreeing with what you're selling in your book.
Right.
And we don't hate you, but all of a sudden we have a chunk of the Christian community that doesn't like our work either because we're not doing it for money.
Right. Well, and
some of
everybody's
them get stuck to a bad idea or a doctrine because it's in the book that they wrote 9 years ago.
Right.
They were wrong when they wrote it, but
Yeah.
you can't undo what's printed in your book.
Yeah, and they're still getting royalties off of it. So,
That's their angle.
Basically, I'm asking Guy because I had the privilege 7 or 8 years ago of passing through New Mexico on my way to Colorado. And New Mexico, I'll be honest with you, it was more beautiful to me than Colorado. And I went everywhere in Colorado. And so I'm always angling for an excuse to go back to New Mexico. So,
I'm not having a big event this year. That's what you're asking. And actually, you were probably in northern New Mexico, where the beauty you speak of, where much of that lies. Roswell is a little dusty, little flat, little.
That's all right.
Yeah. Tumbleweeds from time to time.
Well, it was interesting. Okay. You know what, man? I was there for 12 hours, and it was just in Tucumcari, New Mexico. Okay. So just good right spot. On the tip. But man, it was beautiful. Like I loved it. I was so lucky. Like there was a thunderstorm that passed through, and it was so brutal because it's pretty arid, and you get the mesas and everything, and then there's just nothing. So you
could see for miles, and a little light,
so awesome.
Lightning going on over here.
Yeah. And there's not a lot. Like within Nashville, we're in the Tennessee Valley. So there'll be a lot of terrain that can block the wind or, mitigate it. But man, out there in New Mexico, you are just exposed and it's just hammering away, man. It was so cool. I loved it. So I'd love to get back.
Well, anyways. we have a question that we want to make sure that we don't neglect. This is a question that was given to us by one of our patrons.
Yeah.
And it's by I'm gonna give his name. America in Cars asked this question.
Yeah,
actually, it's more of an observation, and I wanted to kind of get your thoughts on it too, because it kind of aligns with your idea about how these things are demonic.
Okay.
American Cars says, after thinking about it, I've kind of settled on UFOs and gray aliens being one of three things. Craft created and piloted by fallen angels. That's one. Craft created by fallen angels and piloted by biological entities created by them, aka the Greys. I say this because, and this is really interesting, I say this because bovine blood and other parts are similar to humans, and with a little tweaking, you can kind of make that. You can see how they can make that work. Or three, these are craft created by fallen angels and piloted by demons inhabiting Greys, aka a fit extension or Oikaterion. Is this kind of along your lines of thought? Could you expound on that?
It's actually not. Those are things I've considered and tried to look into as well. What I have found after 15, 20 years of doing this is we're overthinking it. We're creating sci-fi plots where they're not needed. I don't think there's a lot of craft that people are examining. For this question seemed to focus around the craft itself, how to explain the craft and
Yeah.
how to explain the piloting of them. Your guy is not going to love this answer, but what I have settled on is when you look at John in Revelation, when you look at Ezekiel, his vision, the Bible says in chapter 1 of the wheel within the wheel, when you look at Enoch or Elijah being taken in Paul himself to the third heaven, what you uncover is there's a visionary experience common to the biblical writers, especially if an angel were there to initiate it. Jacob's ladder, Ezekiel flying all over the place, getting dragged by the hair by the angel. When Paul says he went to the third heaven, was I in body or out of body? I don't know. I can't say. Like, what I am finding is that the abduction experience is visionary. I quote the secular author Jacques Vallée. You guys may know that name. Huge in the 70s. He's the basis for one of the characters in the movie Close Encounters of the Third Kind, and consulted with them. He himself doesn't believe it's aliens. He believes it's an intelligence, and he uses the phrase induced hallucinations. When he's talking with a UFO witness, he will realize that you had this experience, but Nick, who was in the room with you, is not having the same experience. You are seeing something that he is not, or something is happening to you. And Daniel by the river Kadesh, same thing. The men with me did not hear the noise or feel the trumpeting in the same way. One of them was shaken a little bit. What happens in the Bible is that an angel appears. You may say he puts him to sleep, or you may say he expands his awareness or whatever, but all of a sudden Ezekiel or John, they're all of a sudden somewhere else. They're not in their room. My belief is they are going through a visionary experience where the alien is taken, here, eat this scroll. Ooh, it tastes like honey, or it tastes bitter. Yeah, that's going to leave a mark in the morning, or things like that. Is that I don't think that craft and aliens are physically popping up in our yard or in our bedroom or anything like that. I think we're in that sleep paralysis point. Angels have some ability to, I think, initiate that experience. The ones we read about in the Bible were good experiences. They were godly experiences. They were, if you're taking Ezekiel or John 1,000 miles away and to here, there, the other place, that is what happens in the classic abduction scenario. The entity appears, poof, we're on a spaceship, or we're on Mars or Jupiter or Alpha Centauri, and then all this happens. I'm returned a little bit worse. The entities are gone, and now I'm in my room alone, or in my car alone, or something like that.
Yeah.
I think the craft and the bodies and all this stuff, not a lot of evidence for any of them. I do a wonderful talk that gets me fame and fortune and tomatoes thrown in Roswell when I do my man-made to Roswell. This is a non-religious talk, but people can come. I've done it like 5 times here in Roswell. They come from all over the world during the UFO festival to hear about the aliens. I get up with PowerPoints and do a talk that convinces them it was man-made. It happened here, right here. It was made in the USA, probably involved human experimentation, the kind of thing you would cover up. I do believe the Roswell witnesses were telling the truth. They got death threats if they talked. But it's a whole literally hour and a half talk. But yeah, I do a really good man-made view of the Roswell
interesting
case. I don't believe that a lot of these cases, what your guy is referring to, might have to do with I don't think there's a lot of downed craft. I don't think there's a lot of bodies laying around. It's reasonable to think in some end time scenario that you might be creating bodies in labs that demons can inhabit. That is a reasonable hypothesis for what could be happening right now or what could be coming in the future. But I don't think it's what's happening with the alien abduction scenario. I think it's so simple that it's annoying that you rebuke it. You rebuke it, it's gone.
Follow-up question to that. So some of the things that people have been seeing in the news then of some kind of craft, the F-18 pilot, the Tic Tac. There's a lot of footage out there of people seeing things. A lot of people were seeing things at the same time. Some of it was even recorded. Do you feel like those are like man-made kind of top secret projects or something like that? Or
I think a
what
lot
do you
of it
think's going
is.
on there?
I
Think
think the bulk of it is man-made, top secret, but you get past that need to know barrier where there's people that I think some of it is paranormal. To most of it, yeah, man-made. But when you're talking about a 2-mile wide UFO, let's lean towards the paranormal if you don't have a reasonable explanation. I'll go back to what Jacques Vallée said when he addressed the UN in the 1970s on the UFO phenomena. After being bankrolled by the government for years and years and years, they said that we are not experiencing extraterrestrial visitation. We are experiencing a phenomena that is making us believe we are being visited by aliens from other planets. They are hoisting their own agenda. And again, quoting someone who was addressing the UN in the 70s, what was that they are bringing about a change in our world systems of politics, money, and government into a one world. This is reported by secular people in the 70s, that the purpose of the alien phenomena and the UFO sightings is to bring about a societal change, leaning us towards a one world government, religion, and money system. Boom. Yeah. In the 1970s, that was reported by secular people. And every person that interviews hundreds of alien abductees, Dr. John Mack, Harvard, MD, he has a book called Abduction, where he interviewed over 300 people. Same thing. They are changing humanity's perceptions on politics, religion, and government. The abductees have a special purpose or a role to play in the world as it's falling apart. The aliens, they say, are going to, if you've seen the Nick Cage movie Knowing, where all the biblical angels were really the aliens, and at the end of it, right before the world blows up, they take the kids off the planet, rapture by UFO, and take them somewhere else. All of this stuff. The pilots, he's not lying. Most likely, he saw something. Was it flesh and blood, or was it 3D physical? I don't think it was. It can show up on a radar screen. Ooh. Well, I remember when, forgetting his name, the angel, Jacob's ladder. When Jacob wrestled the angel,
Peniel.
Peniel. Thank you,
the angel Peniel.
Oh, yeah, good for you. Okay, that limp,
good memory.
That messed up hip he had for the rest of his life.
Yeah.
Did that really happen in real life, or was it just a 3D? Or was it just his imagination?
I've always wondered about that. Yeah,
same thing with a UFO. They can show up and be physical when they want to be, for as long as they need to be. And again, Whitley Strieber's son, the author of the book Communion, I remember reading that when I was still an abductee without Christ. And he asked his son, who was experiencing the visitors in his house late at night, finally, and he asked his son, "Are the visitors real?" And his son answers, "They can be." Same thing with the UFO phenomena, and what we see of the record of angels, who we don't really presume are that physical. They show up, physical stuff happens. Sodom and Gomorrah. Okay, that wasn't a dream.
Yeah.
So angels, according to the biblical record, can leave physical evidence of their visit.
Yeah,
including on your body, including damage, to you. So I've not, I'm open, but I've not read anything in the whole UFO alien phenomena stuff that can't be explained, that doesn't have a parallel biblically.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, the rules are always that, it's Mulder and Scully. Okay. Let's exhaust all of the physical explanations before we jump to the paranormal.
Yeah.
I'm reversing that in a sense. I'm like, you give me a UFO case or an abduction or what happened to you, I can find 3 places in the Bible where, there's precedent for that. It is within the powers and abilities of angels, you would say, to do what you just described. Now the burden is on you to convince me that it wasn't an angel, that it was an alien. Well, do you have any proof that aliens exist yet? No. Okay, well, let's pull back on that one then.
It's a spiritual Occam's razor in a way,
Yeah.
as a Christian,
Yeah.
which you're almost required as a Christian to, I say almost required to default to, because it's like, do you believe or don't you believe? There's a lot of materialist Christians out there, who are like, oh no, this is just too weird. But I mean, I'll tell you, we hear the same thing with when we interviewed the ghost hunters. They said there's this idea that the spiritual cannot interact with the physical. But to your point, there are plenty of reports of ghosts scratching people. Sometimes, occasionally you'll hear stories of people being pushed by them. And like it's that Michael Keaton movie White Noise. I was telling people about it last night. I was like, dude, that's the only scary movie that has ever messed me up, because it's the only movie where, like, no, the ghost can kill you, and like, and I think there is, to your point, I think there's a correlation there with the spiritual and with the demonic.
Hey, if you guys have been enjoying this interview and you'd like to hear the rest of it, including some really down and dirty stuff that we're not allowed to say here on YouTube, head over to patreon.com/the Gosslings. We'd love to have your support there and share exclusive content with you.
That's right. Keep it cool. And remember, these are interviews that strike down the dark.
They do indeed strike down the darkness. They strike down all the darkness.
That's right. Strike it down hard.
So hard.
So hard. So hard.
They strike it down so hard.
So hard. Strike it down. Strike it down, baby.
Oh my goodness.
Pick it up, flip it over, rub it down, strike it down hard. Welcome to the gooder room.
Welcome back. So, Guy Malone's pretty cool. He sounded like he had a good time.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun with Guy.
Yeah, it was fun. And there is some more of that interview over on the Patreon.
Yeah.
And we had another fabulous interview today that we're going to be playing next week. Guess what? Want to miss that?
Yeah.
The great Stephen Pressfield.
Yeah, Fireside Chats with Uncle Steve,
Yes.
episode 2.
Yeah, it's our second one. It was good.
Yeah, it's probably our 5th interview with Stephen Pressfield so far, but it is the first or second in the Fireside Chats subcategory of interviews, where we kind of talk about, we talk about writing, we talk about motivational stuff for writers and other creatives, and we focused heavily on self-publishing and Amazon KDP. So it's going to be a great interview.
Yeah.
We had Steve for
about an hour.
Roughly.
Yeah, about an hour.
And him and Diana both.
We got some gold, though, man. We got some serious gold in that interview.
We did.
And
we are joined here, by the way, by Joseph.
What's up? What's up?
Our glorious nephew.
AKA Boss Goss Hog.
Yep.
J. Reese Bradley says, "Hey, Goss Hog."
What's up?
Thank you. You know what? I'm gonna pull the chat up.
Yeah.
Get the chat going.
Do the chat overlay.
We can talk about. We can talk about Bitcoin if you want. I'd rather talk about aliens and UFOs.
Yeah.
Because that seems a little more prescient.
Yeah.
With all the goings on this week. So it was like 1 week ago today that the balloon, the infamous balloon,
200 feet tall, with
the
a
Chinese it balloon,
with a chassis, with a chassis like the size of a Cessna, floated over the country and made it all the way to the waters of South Carolina before they shot it down.
We didn't do nothing.
Nope.
We didn't do nothing. We could have. We knew. I mean, we could have shot it down over.
Found anything
Montana.
yet? Nope. How about you guys? Man, we ain't found. Beep. We ain't found.
Yeah, we'll get the timing on that. Yeah, they shot it down. Okay, and then a couple days later, something was shot down off the coast of Alaska.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And they didn't say it was a balloon. They said it was like the size of a small car at 40,000 feet.
Yeah.
With no visible signs of like means of propulsion that
and
they
they
could
say
identify.
they shot that one down because it was in air traffic airspace.
Yeah, it was a
Lower
danger to commercial traffic. Then they shot one down in Canada.
Mm-hmm.
A day or so later, and then I think it was yesterday. There's one over Montana that they were watching until it was dark, so they were having a hard time. They were just watching it. They were just tracking it.
Yeah.
And I think it's probably the one that they shot down over. I guess it's Lake Huron. I thought it was Lake Michigan, but someone in the chat corrected me. Yeah, that got shut down today, but we don't know what that was. And if Chuck Schumer says it's most likely a balloon, and if Chuck Schumer says it's most likely anything, it's most likely not.
It's most likely whatever is the opposite of what he says. Yeah. But the interesting thing about it was some people in the conversation, we know this being downstream of those conversations, but somebody at some point had fielded the idea that it was something other than a balloon, and that information got out to the media. So now there is a media discussion about whether or not it was a balloon. So there's no uniformity on the balloon angle from upstream, from up the chain.
Yeah, no uniformity up there.
So
we know the first one was a balloon. That's really all we know for sure, because we all saw it with our own eyes.
Yeah, and we saw it pop.
Yeah.
Like a talcum powdered tick.
And now we're wondering, like, why do you need a $400,000 missile to pop a balloon?
Yeah, or scramble a $35 million jet,
Right.
and
Taxes right there.
yeah, it's a lot of tax money, and why couldn't you have done that sooner? If it's an intelligence thing, then why would you let it accomplish its mission before you shoot it down?
Yeah.
I mean, like once it reaches the eastern seaboard, is it safer to shoot down? Yeah, sure, but stuff falls out of the air from aircraft all the time. So, and over Montana, you can't shoot it down over Montana where there are like 30 people in
30.
Big Sky God's country,
Just cows and mountains and,
Yeah.
It's prairie on one side of the state.
And it never should have, even if it were a real threat somehow that wasn't, state-sponsored or approved, then why was it not shot down before it even reached the Bering Strait?
Yeah. Yeah.
Much less Canadian airspace.
It's just weird that in a week there's this wave of them.
Yeah.
And it's probably I think they've been floating those things over us for years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
And maybe these things are, what are commonly reported as UFOs. Or maybe most of these things aren't balloons at all and it's something else.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Whatever they are, they're tangible. Like you guys are saying in the chat. It is definitely something that is physical that can be brought down.
Yeah.
So,
and they should bring it down.
Yeah.
There shouldn't be anything that we didn't make floating over.
I mean, when another country, owns your debt,
Yeah, that's the thing, and everyone knows it, man. Everyone knows that he's in China's pocket.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Maybe it was a Ukrainian balloon. Maybe it was
You mean our balloon?
right. Well, yeah. Maybe it was Hunter Biden's balloon. It was like a Amazon delivery of special Colombian yayo.
You know what it was?
Don't shoot it down, Dad. Don't shoot it down.
That
Dad.
first balloon, you know what was it? It was probably his laptop duct taped to the bottom of that first balloon.
Yeah.
And Trump was like, "You just shoot it down. You gotta shoot it
down.
down." They're
We're
recovering his
gonna take
laptop
it
from the
down.
waters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Let's see. Tricky says what we think of as a satellite. I mean, yeah, it looked like it was carrying. Oh, yeah, it looks like it was carrying a satellite. Nick was talking about that. Yeah, that it did look like the chassis on that first balloon was like a satellite.
Yeah.
Which, as America in Cars is so apt to point out, like, if balloons are that high and getting shot down, then are there satellites? Do we need satellites?
Oh.
Heliocentric globe Earth model? Maybe not. Maybe we should get a Foxtrot Echo guy to come on the live stream and talk
We're
about
gonna
that.
have a Foxtrot Echo guy come on the live stream in next month, and then we air it on Earth Day.
I think we're recording him this month, but it won't air until Earth Day.
It's gonna be good.
So
It's gonna
yeah,
be so fun.
yeah. And we were gonna air that one sooner, but finding an opportunity somewhere in there to air it was kind of tricky. And then Nick suddenly had the brilliant idea of like, dude, why don't we like air the Flat Earth interview on Earth Day? How hilarious would that be? So
American Car says no. Today over Huron was Air France plane that was. I guess that's the one that was diverted. The whole thing is weird. So
yeah, he sent. There you go.
Interesting. So they diverted it, or did they shoot it down? Where did they shoot down, though?
Yeah, America, you have any insight on
Interesting.
what it was that they shot down?
Hmm.
See, that's what I'm saying, Tricky. It's the firmament. I'm telling you.
Gabe Bello. It's like 99 laptop balloons on the wall, 99 laptop balloons. It actually works really well. Shoot one down.
Snorted around. 98 laptop balloons on the wall.
Yes.
I mean, when that thing,
there it is. Yes, there it is.
dude, when that
Winner.
winner, chicken dinner. Yeah, when that thing popped, all I could see was like, $8 million in Biden special nose candy, just dumping into the, dumping into the atmosphere, which made other people think like, is it a bioweapon? It's arguable that like the answer to that is, in that context, yes.
Anything Hunter Biden's touched is a bioweapon.
Hunter Biden is a bioweapon. Hunter bioweapon. Yeah.
So American Car says had a refueler, a Bell helicopter, and jets with Air France. Weird. Maybe it's just an emergency situation.
Yeah, who
I don't
knows?
know, maybe they ran out of gas or something.
Yeah.
Or maybe they hit the thing
Yeah, maybe they hit it.
and they needed like emergency landing, or maybe I don't
You think
know.
the alien who was driving it was drunk?
Maybe.
He had too much cow blood.
No, he flew
day?
through a misty cloud of nose candy
That's
from
what
a
it is, yeah.
aforesaid popped balloon.
From a Ukrainian
Caught
Amazon
up-
delivery.
Caught up in the
You
Ukrainian Amazon delivery.
Ukrainian dropship.
Yes, yes.
Straight
Oh,
from
great.
China. Yeah.
Let's see. Luft. What is that? I was spoofing Luft balloons, but 99 on the wall was. I don't know Luft. What is that?
I don't know.
We don't know what
let's
Luft
see.
is.
99. Oh, lift balloons?
Lift balloons?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Oh, like lift, like Uber.
99. Luft balloons, as in like Luftwaffen? I'm so confused right now. I don't know.
Luftwaffen.
Look, I'm a little dumb. You
Well, I
guys
think,
gotta
like,
help
if it's
me.
like if it's lift balloons, it's like Uber.
Well, it's
you know?
obviously
yeah.
not a movie reference.
Yeah, that's right. Or I'd be all over it. Yeah, and Gabriel says they're nose candy pinatas. See, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think there's I'm American Cars. I agree. There's definitely more to it.
Yeah.
And we'll never ever know all the they'll never publicly release all the details. The only thing we're ever going to know is what someone catches, live with their phone and streams it to social media,
Mhm.
and it doesn't get taken down.
Yeah. Well, as the TikTok guy pointed out with the Giants, with the Giant video, like they'll just memory hole you. They'll just disappear you. If you actually capture
See,
anything. And
Where's James O'Keefe when you really need him?
yeah, no kidding, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, Jimmy. Thanks, Jimmy O'Keefe.
Jimmy O'Keefe.
Maybe if you weren't making a bunch of fruity little dance videos,
Gabe says everything is a movie reference with me. I know, but yeah,
Yeah.
it's true.
So everybody sound out. I'd love to see it in the chat. Like Madeline, Gabe, Jake, Jerry, Shannon, all of you guys. Tricky, America, just like real quick, just like one comment. What do you think it is? What do
Yeah.
you think the what is it? UAPs, is that what they're calling them now?
UFO, UAP, balloon.
Unidentified aerial phenomena.
Yeah.
And to Guy's point about the intangible nature of it, there is, I will say, now that they have reclassified UFOs as UAPs from unidentified flying objects to unidentified aerial phenomena.
Yeah.
Phenomena is a broader spectrum
It's
word.
creepier too.
It's a lot creepier. So it may not, what do I think they are? I don't, honestly. I would be lying if I gave you a specific
It's
opinion.
the Up House.
It's the Up House?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
just a Boy Scout trying to get his badge.
You
got
know,
shoved down
gosh,
by
no
an
kidding.
F-22 fighter.
Yeah.
Tricky has touched on this a couple times. It could be some kind of a precursor to supernatural event or a prophecy. Could be part of the deception. L.A. Marzulli says that the UFO and alien phenomenon is the coming great deception.
Yeah.
Could be. Could very well be. I think John Holler has a new update today. New
Oh,
prophecy update. I'm going to be listening to that
Distraction
tonight.
from Turkey more than anything.
Old technology.
Hey, Jake.
says old technology that got released simply because it was taking up space but got retrofitted with a few spy gadgets. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing too. The technology that we see, we are usually at least 20 to 30 years downstream from when it was actually created and implemented.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, who knows what there really is out there? Like, yeah.
Check this
Nephilim
out. Check out
technology.
Jay Reese's comment. She hopes it's fear mongering for next year's election. That actually could be what they're doing.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, look at what I did. I shot them down.
Yeah.
You know,
Which is why, if I ever won the lottery, you know what I'd invest in? I mean, after I buy like the family farm back that we had to sell, I would buy a Dillon Precision Yukon Denali XL, that has the 30 millimeter turret that you can pop out. That you actually can't buy domestically. They only sell it to like for national security details.
I know American Cars doesn't have one. He probably has the knowledge to make one.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. And then I'd also buy a flat cannon. One of those 4-barreled.
What does DEW mean? I think
Direct energy weapon.
Ooh.
So,
that's
like,
interesting.
Not quite like rods of God, which I think probably do exist. I kind of think that that's maybe what hit the AT&T building here in Nashville a couple years ago.
Direct
or
energy?
a few years ago. No, rods of God.
Oh, right.
Which is basically like
Hit the truck.
gravitational mag pulse technology. I just think it hit the building, straight into the building.
Well, I saw the video of the truck exploding.
Yeah, but there's like some weird CCTV footage where, yeah.
You guys know about that, right?
It's bizarre.
The explosion in Nashville Christmas morning,
Yeah.
2021.
2021, because it was right after.
Oh,
the
no, it's
election.
2020. It's still 2020. It was Christmas.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was right after the election. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The one where Dominion Software.
Vinny Boom Boss says giant it balloon. Yeah, that's what I think.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a horror of some kind attached to that thing in the gutter waiting to snatch us in some way.
Just a Cthulhu tentacle beast ready to unfold its ectoplasmic tentacles and just.
Yeah, and Turkey, I heard, and we were talking about this earlier, but the earthquake in Turkey, it killed 33,000 people.
Yeah.
And counting. That's horrible. And it like that tectonic plate shifted like 10 feet. It moved like 3 meters. I mean, that's a lot of damage.
Yeah.
And the footage is just horrendous.
You said
Would
y'all
you-
saw Brazilian statue of Jesus was struck by lightning last night?
Interesting.
I did not.
Whoa.
Is that the one in Rio? The big one?
The big one?
Up in, yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Dang.
Would you say that it's a lot of.
Emotional damage.
I think it's a lot more than emotional damage. I think it's a lot more than that. And I was reading Revelation this morning, and the sixth seal
Mm-hmm.
is a giant earthquake.
Is it really?
Yeah, but the sun like turns black and the moon turns to blood. Like those three things happen with the sixth seal. So keep your eyes open.
Do you think that's more of like a metaphorical like eclipse or like actual like literal blood like thing?
I don't know, because they always talk about the blood moons.
Jay Reese is going off to edit her book. Get to
Nice.
work.
Yeah.
Get to work. Go for it. And
We fully
thank you for
support
watching. Yeah.
David.
Does anyone know who is the Super Bowl over? It can't be over.
that. No.
It can't be over.
It's only, 7 o'clock?
Yeah, somebody give me a live update.
Yeah.
Not that I care, but I kind of want to know the state of mind my friends are going to be in when I go to work tomorrow.
And then let's see, what else do we have here? Oh yeah, American Cars says that he had a Dillon mounted on his Razor in Afghanistan. So, see, called it. Yeah.
Yep.
And we knew
Jay
it.
Carr makes a good point. Pergamon in Turkey is the seat of Satan. It's one of the 7
Yeah.
churches.
Mhm.
And
There we
it's
go,
in Turkey.
right
Asia
there.
Minor. Oh, Chiefs 14, Eagles 21. We're in the second quarter. So the halftime show's coming up.
Oh,
Uh-oh.
who is it? You know who it is?
I don't care.
I'm sure it'll be a Luciferian ritual one way or the
Oh,
other.
Luciferian. Take a drink.
All right.
I'm so jealous. I need a catchphrase.
Okay.
What's a dune?
It's Rihanna.
It's who is it?
Rihanna.
Rihanna?
Wait, is it?
I don't know. A Rihanna? Is that right? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's Rihanna.
What's a
Yeah,
Rihanna?
It's a
More,
demon.
more satanic rituals. Yeah, it'll be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
It
Yeah.
cannot be. Do you think it'll be as overtly satanic as last week's Grammy performance?
Dude, how do you top that?
Pretty rough.
I mean,
I
I
don't
say
know.
that, but I'm sure
Well,
they can.
I know how.
Yeah.
The Commonwealth Games last year.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
That was really, really
yeah, with
crazy.
the bull. Yeah. Or Bohemian Grove. You know, you just have a Moloch owl ritual.
They could do
right
that.
there in the.
Sacrifice somebody out in the middle of the field.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I mean, they did it at CERN, so why not? You know,
Oh yeah, that video was creepy. I think those were just kids playing,
probably.
but man, it brought some attention.
Yeah.
They're feeding into people's fears about CERN.
But it's weird either way.
Oh, it's really
It's
weird.
a weird choice. So.
Eagles up 21-14. No one's surprised. No one's surprised, but my friends are going to be sad. Sad.
Hashtag sad. So
Is that got a
sad.
sad button on here?
Do we have a sad button on there?
I don't think we do. We need a sad button.
The Chiefs are going to lose. It's kind of sad. No, not so much.
No, it's all happy times on the channel. You know, it's never.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained? Is this not why you are here?
No, I'm there for the Super Bowl commercials.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm here for the really expensive
Yeah.
commercials.
Let's see here. J-Car says, what is the... Oh, wait. No, I'm going to go to tricky subject first. I see a little...
silhouette of a man. It's got a moose,
Can you do the fandango? Yeah.
Yeah. Nice.
Oh,
You know what's so hilarious too? Every time I hear that song or anybody references, I immediately think of Wayne's World. Like when they sing it in Wayne's World.
I never heard of that one.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I never heard
Such a child.
that.
What is the dude, Jake?
Sorry.
Young Padawan.
Man.
Jake says, what is the deeper meaning of Eagles versus Chiefs? Blind patriotism versus the grassroots, maybe?
Yeah.
Could be.
Yeah. Could be.
Could be. If the Eagle, blind patriotism. Maybe America is once again going to destroy native peoples symbolically on the field.
Yeah, maybe. This is cool. Tricky says Bohemian Rhapsody, song by Queen. Bohemian Rhapsody is all about Bohemian Grove. Now I got to go back and look at those
Now we have
lyrics.
to listen. Yeah.
Yeah. That's pretty
Ooh,
cool.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Make it through the gay scenes.
Yes.
Make it through all the mustaches. And it'll be all right.
all the Freddie Mercury stashes, you know.
Gabe says, I'm waiting for them to light up an effigy of a child on a performance at this
I mean,
point.
you know,
It's
like,
gonna at some point
it's
they're gonna
coming.
be I mean they're gonna
Dude,
be
what's
doing like
left?
mock abortions for
Yeah.
entertainment.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. What's left?
It's
I mean,
coming.
dude, they already had a chick puking on what's her face?
Yeah,
Lady Gaga.
Gaga.
What?
Yeah.
Gross.
Live on stage.
Really?
Yeah.
Performance?
Yeah. Yeah. So, you know, it's always that question of like, how much worse can it get? Well, it can get worse. It can always get worse.
Yeah, it can get a lot worse.
Which is why you should subscribe to the Patreon.
That's right. Let's go over to that right now. Let's go over to the Patreon right now.
It's like the worst segue ever.
If you haven't yet and you're still watching this nonsense, subscribe.
You know, people are
Subscribe to
having
the
fun.
Goslings. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the bell. Do all the things. We'd really appreciate it. And if you have not yet joined our Patreon, we love your support. Exclusive content, all kinds of perks. We're gonna do some. Let's do some behind the scenes stuff
Yeah, it'd be
later.
fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we have this cool new thing. Instead of saying go to patreon.com/the Goslings and type it out, check this out. New little feature.
Nice.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah, a little
very
QR
nice.
Got the
Code.
QR code up
Right.
there, a little QR code action. I'm going
Dude.
to leave it hanging there while we recognize our patrons.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Starting with Hemingway level patrons.
Mhm.
Mama Shaw OC, thank you for your support so much.
Yes.
Jody S. and American Cars.
Yeah.
You
thank
guys
you.
are the backbone. Thank you so much.
And
for
you know
your
what's a lot
generous
of fun
support.
too? Like I've been doing more. One of the things we offer is like exclusive digital downloads and exclusive content, and I've been doing more of those, but they're really only available, I think, to that level and up
Mhm.
for people. So, like, and there's some killer stuff that like Nick and I have been putting on there,
Mhm.
and it's been really fun. But it's like, man, we only got like these people right now. I can't wait until we have more of these people so they can see like this cool stuff
Yeah.
that we find. Because like,
Yeah.
dude, I found a sketch in the art school. That's the building like where it used to be an art school, one of the places I work in. And there was like somebody made a sketch from like 10, 20 years ago that I found of like a human animal hybrid.
Ooh.
And it was all like Nephilim out, you know?
Yeah.
And so like there's a bunch of cool stuff that we find, you know, we talk about and post and, you know, on there. And you want to check out those levels. So
Absolutely. And the Hemingway level is really cool because we can actually field one of your questions to our guests when we record those interviews. Actually, Mama Shaw OC fielded a question for Stephen Pressfield, and we did ask him that question. His answer is great. You're going to love it.
Yeah.
And you'll get to see that when we upload the whole thing to the Patreon. So check it out. Check out the levels. There's a lot of cool, unique perks to each level. Orwell level patrons: Cascadian Breeze, Gabe Bella Music, Christy D, Mike Fisher, Ice Queen Empress, Blue Eyed Bandit, Carol J, Jamie J, Sean E, Sonny, Michelle, Charlotte.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you guys so much.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much.
You guys are really helping out.
You are blessing us.
And
we've been talking about some things we need to level up some equipment.
Yeah.
We got a lot of plans. We got a lot of things we got to do, and you guys are going to make this possible for us, and we're going to grow with your support, and we really thank you for it.
Yeah.
We're going to get more guests. We're going to do more streams. We're going to be doing some more of those midweek streams with guests as well.
Yeah.
That are totally live, not pre-recorded. So stay tuned for more of that. And
don't worry, everyone. My flat cannon purchase is like pretty far down the road.
Okay, yeah. Well, rail guns aren't legal yet, are they?
Not yet. Well, it's only legal if they catch you.
Laughed a little too hard there.
Nice.
Went a little too hard there. Never mind. Reel it in. Cut the commercial. We'll do it live.
Well, let's see. Last couple of chats here before we sign off. I love having my questions asked, says American Cars.
Yeah,
man, it's awesome. Especially, we have kind of a unique mix of guests, and it's broad, so there'll always be one coming down the pike that is sure to pique your interest.
Yeah, and we're booked out through May.
Yeah.
So like the entry level Patreon thing lets you see our guest list, and you'll be able to sort of plan accordingly. And then it gives you some other stuff too. Yeah, check it out, man. You'll find a bunch of stuff on there that is worth a cup of coffee. I mean, $5, $10, $20 a month.
Yeah,
dude, I spend all of that on Starbucks working 24 hours a week at my day job. So and we're gonna tithe it. Also, we're gonna tithe the 10%. We already got a game plan for that too, which we think you guys will really dig. So it's pretty neat. And then we also have the Teespring page on top of like the shirt or the books on Amazon. On top of the Patreon, we have some awesome t-shirts, and we are all three rocking them today. Whether it's a Stephen Pressfield themed t-shirt or the original You Can't Hack a Typewriter, and then interviews that strike down the darkness. We also have some that say aliens are just demons you can shoot. And and then we have some others that are what's the one? Every time a bell rings, a demon's laptop dies. That's a fun typewriter themed t-shirt. So we got some cool stuff on there.
Yeah.
And the Teespring page, eventually when we get 10,000 subscribers, we can actually have the carousel in the video that you can just click on it. That's right. Name it and claim it. But in the meantime, go to the Gosslings.
let me pull it up here. I was trying to do something special. It's this one. Da-da-da-da.
Yeah, the-goslings.creator-spring.com. It used to be so simple. It used to just be like a Teespring URL, but
we're gonna get something simpler. Maybe we can create a QR code for it or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But anyway, we'll get it. It'll be, the link will be in the description of the video as always. And I think that's it. Let's check last couple comments and we will get out of here. This thing is running really slow tonight. My apologies. And why did the camera just suddenly get like super bright? I look like it looks like Jesus just walked into the room and we're looking at him. Oh, now he's leaving because of my big mouth. Okay. He's like,
he's got to
you
get
guys
over.
are still going?
Yeah. He's got to get over that halftime show to save some souls.
That's
You know,
right.
intercede on our behalf for our Roman bread and circus degeneracy. You know, and you're right, Gabe. They are all rigged. Every one of them. Yeah, I get it.
Believe nothing. Believe nothing that you see.
Yeah.
It's all a lie. Thank you, Mama Shaw OC, Madeline, Mike Fisher, Gabe, Tricky, American Cars, Jake, everyone who was in the chat tonight. Thank you guys so much.
Yeah.
We really appreciate it. And I hope you guys have a really blessed week. And without further ado,
Yeah. I'm Jonathan.
I'm Nick.
Oh, I'm Joe.
Goss Hog.
That's right. All right. Stay cool, everyone. And go forth.
And strike down the darkness. Strike it down hard.
So hard.
See you, everyone.